Everybody, Chief Meteorologist Ken Weathers here. We're coming right up on 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Central Time. We have a new tornado warning that's out for about the southern half of Cumberland County, and it's with this cell that's coming out of Van Buren County moving eastward. This warning will go until 8 o'clock. We've watched this make its way through the McMinnville area earlier, now headed towards Spencer. So our coverage area right here. This is Bledsoe County. This is Cumberland County. This is I-40, by the way. So Crossville to Crab Orchard over into Roane County between Harriman and Kingston. So we will keep an eye, especially the southern half of Cumberland County as this cell gets a little bit closer. But if you're in Cumberland County, especially Crossville southward, you need to make sure you're in your safe area. Here are the times of arrival. Looks like Herbert Domain around 7:15, Thomas Springs around 7:19. Those would all be central time zones. Again, if you're just joining us here, we're close to the top of the hour. It's almost 8 o'clock. You're watching tornado coverage here on WATE 6 on your side, and it is our policy if there's a tornado warning in our area, which Cumberland County is, we stay on the air until that threat is over with. So we're talking about an hour away from this cell clearing this warning area. So even heads up portions of Morgan and Roane County, make sure you're paying attention to this cell as it's heading off towards the east. It's moving east-northeast at almost 40 miles per hour. We're downtown Crossville looking southwest to where that cell would be coming from. And it's going to be difficult to pick out. We're not too far away from sunset, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes from right now, but there's going to be very heavy rainfall associated with this, so it's not going to be very visible. That's why you just need to make sure you are in your safe spot. This is not a confirmed tornado. It's radar indicated. But as we always say, we look at that virtual threat index, something that we have, you only see here on Channel 6. The higher that number, the more likely the storm is going to be severe. So anytime it's over about 6, it grabs our attention. It's been hovering in that 7 to 7.5 range for about the past 20 minutes as, again, it's made its way places like McMinnville, moving towards Spencer now. I think it's going to clip very close to the southern Cumberland and Bledsoe border as well. So anybody in northern Bledsoe County above Pikeville, make sure you're paying attention to this as well. But as of right now, we're talking Crossville southward under this tornado warning. So if you're north of that, you're not included. As of right now, Fairfield Glades, you're not. But I want you to pay a very, very close attention to this cell as it's moving to the east. Another thing we've noticed, high probability that you're going to be seeing hail with this storm. At minimum, you're going to be seeing hail, maybe 1 inch in diameter or greater. We're seeing estimates now of about 2 inches in diameter. That is very large. That's going to be getting close to about golf ball size hail, if not just slightly larger with that. So that is certainly possible as it moves east, maybe closer to tennis ball. We've had some reports earlier of some storms back into Middle Tennessee, south of the Nashville area, that did have some reports of tennis ball size hail. There's another storm back behind this one as well that we're keeping an eye on, that there's a tornado warned storm on a little bit further to the west. So we're going to keep an eye on that system as well. But elsewhere, what we're talking about basically is just a line of storms that's going to be making its way through the area as we go a little bit later in the night tonight. So this is what we talked about, that opportunity for seeing a few storms early on that could produce tornadoes. And that's kind of what this threat is with the cells here. And then it eventually will turn into a line of thunderstorms that has the potential to produce some damaging wind gusts. But a couple of cells we're watching just east of I-24 heading back towards McMinnville, but the two cells right here that are coming out of Van Buren County and making their way into the southern half of Cumberland County, which has prompted that tornado warning, which goes until 8 o'clock Central Time or 9 o'clock Eastern Time. That's about 59 minutes from right now. It's moving east-northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So if you live in these areas, especially Bethesda to Clifty, make sure you're in your safe spot now. Bethesda at about 7:11, so you're talking 9 minutes from right now. Thomas Springs at 7:23. Those are central time zones. But again, it looks like it has come down just a little bit there, the VTI or the virtual threat index, but we want to watch that over the next couple of scans, because oftentimes what happens with these storms, you may see them strengthen a little bit, they back down, and then they strengthen again. Now, we did have one cell that kind of made its way through this region earlier today, but there's still enough fuel for these storms to either hold together or strengthen until this whole line comes through a little bit later tonight. And I do want to point out, we do have a tornado watch which is in place now across our entire area that goes until 2 o'clock in the morning. The Plateau counties, Fentress, Cumberland, Bledsoe counties, those go until 10 Central or 11 Eastern time. So we do expect that threat for severe storms to end a little sooner there compared to the rest of the region. But really, once we get past about 1 or 2 a.m., the threat will push east and move over onto the other side of the mountains into western North Carolina. Meteorologist Margot Altschuler here as well. She's got a little bit more on these storms. Again, we're keeping an eye on this tornado warning heading into Cumberland County, Margot.
Yeah, Ken, the reason why they continued this warning further down into Cumberland County is due to the fact that there were reports in McMinnville, so in a whole county over from where this storm is actually at right now, of trees down. So they're going to continue that, especially considering that there's been reports of some damage, and so we're going to be on air until this warning expires, and we have about an hour left of this warning. So bear with us, but we will be watching. It's right now moving through the community of Spencer. I know this is not in our viewing area, but again, it's going to move closer towards the downtown Crossville area and move through the southern half of Cumberland County. We're also keeping an eye on this severe thunderstorm warning just north of this tornado warned storm because that's that line that we were talking about that's expected to move through later on this evening. Going into tonight, this is going to bring damaging wind gusts. This is going to bring heavy rain. We also do have a flash flood warning, I believe, just behind this tornado warned storm, closer towards McMinnville. So that's just indicating, hey, even with this storm, even though it has a tornado possibly, it's also producing some pretty heavy rainfall that again is leading to flooding. So it's just best to have your weather notifications turned on, because right now it's about 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central time, and it's about bedtime for some of you, so it's best to have your weather notifications turned on, just because we do expect to see this trend at least continuing for the next hour. So we're going to watch everything, but again, this is a tornado warned storm going into Cumberland County that lasts until around 8 o'clock Central time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So that's how long we'll be on air, but just kind of taking a look to see where the rotation is. We're also going to take a zoomed in look towards that rotation, just so we can see the communities being affected. If you know anybody in these communities, this is closer towards Cane Creek, Sweetgum, even closer towards Lone Wood. So this is in, I think, the Van Buren community. I could be wrong, Ken. You could correct me. Is it Van Buren or is it Warren?
Which one? The Spencer?
Yeah, the one that's near Spencer.
That is Van Buren, or what? That is White County.
White County.
It's right on the border between Van Buren and White.
Okay, so this is White County. So this is just one county over from Cumberland County. And again, Cumberland County is the area that we are covering, and this warned storm is moving into the southern half of Cumberland County. So we are watching this rotation. It has broadened some, but we're going to continue to be on air, keep you guys updated as long as this warning is still in our viewing area. And again, we've been watching this since it was just below or just south of the Nashville metro area as it continued to trek east. Now, we do expect to see a line just west of it kind of catching up with it, and that's going to cause us to see even more rain. So we have a lot going on, a lot to kind of process. So again, we're urging you to have your weather notifications turned on. We had a busy start to the afternoon. Around 3 o'clock, already had one tornado warned storm that moved through Anderson County and Knox County. Now we have a second tornado warned storm that's going to move through Cumberland County. So again, have your weather notifications turned on. And again, taking a look at our reflectivity, this is just showcasing the heavy rain. You can see the pink closer towards Sweetgum, closer towards River Hill, closer towards Lone Wood. Again, this system is rain wrapped, and it is bringing a lot of rain that is leading to flash flooding. So make sure you have your weather notifications turned on, so that way you can know what's happening near you or what's coming towards your way. Ken?
Margot, we had one cell that I was keeping an eye on as well that had a severe thunderstorm warning earlier that was in McMinn County going into Monroe County. It has weakened substantially, but we still have what's called a special weather statement on it. We could be seeing some winds maybe gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour, but it's just below severe limits. That's about to cross over out of McMinn into Monroe counties. You can kind of pick out the areas here. We're talking about Sequoia Estates at 825 and downtown Madisonville and the elementary school right around 8 8:28. But the one we need to focus on the most is the warning that is back towards the west, and that's going to be this cell. Again, it's right on the border right there between Van Buren and White counties, making its way into the southern half of Cumberland County, and that's where we have the tornado warning in effect. Again, this looks like it has ramped back up again. I told you this earlier. Sometimes you see them recycle or reset these systems, and that's kind of what this one has done, is it's getting pretty close to that border. So right between White, Van Buren, and Cumberland counties, right where they all come together, that's where the center of this circulation is going to be, and also at least northwest Bledsoe County. Look at the hail size estimate showing about 2¼ maybe a little on the large side, but I wouldn't be surprised if at least 1¾ inches. So we'd be getting close to tennis ball size hail if that verifies with this storm as it's moving to the east. Also, we are seeing it move east-northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So again, we're talking about downtown Crossville southward. Areas to the north not impacted by this, but there is another line of storms that will be coming through, most likely the rest of Cumberland County. Now, one thing I did notice when I was looking at the camera, it's already raining. So you would not see if there was a funnel or if there was a tornado with this system because of the heavy rainfall that's accompanying ahead of this storm that's making its way in. And you can see the rain hitting our lens here. I'm looking back towards the southwest, so it is in that direction where that storm would be coming from. So we will keep an eye on that as that cell continues to move northeast. But again, we have a tornado warning for the southern half of Cumberland County that goes until 8 o'clock. So we're still talking about 51 minutes from right now. Now, what we will do, we're going to continue to stay on the air, make sure everybody is safe. When the warning expires, we will most likely go back to online and our digital platforms. But our policy, again, is to stay on air until the threat for severe weather is over, especially when there's a tornado warn system in our area. But 2¼ inch hail. I don't think it's quite that size, but we have had history with a couple of these cells when it was back into Middle Tennessee of tennis ball to almost baseball size hail. So we could be approaching that as well with this storm as it's making its way east. Again, right on the border between Bledsoe County, Van Buren, White, and Cumberland. So kind of that Quad County area is what we're talking about. So here are some communities. If you live in any of these or you live near any of these, you need to make sure you're in your safe spot. So again, we're talking about Lake Park 725, Winesap 726, and Toddtown as well at 726. So Lake Park as well, you need to be there. The Obed River Estates, Brown Elementary, if you live near there, your kids went there earlier today or go there, you need to make sure you are in your safe spot as well as the storm continues to track north and east. At this time, this is the only cell in our area that we are watching very carefully. But as Margot mentioned, and she'll talk about here in a minute, there is a line of thunderstorms back to the west that's making its way through Middle Tennessee, the Nashville area now, that will eventually catch up with these individual cells, and it's just going to merge into one line of storms that moves through. And then we're talking about the potential, at least, of some isolated damaging wind gusts. So kind of a little bit wider perspective. The storm that's making its way out of McMinn into Monroe County, that one's falling apart. We're following this one that's right on the border, again, between Van Buren, White counties, southwest Cumberland, and northwest sections of Bledsoe County. But we're also going to watch that one back towards McMinnville. Again, another at least opportunity for a circulation with that cell as well as it's moving to the east. And we've kind of seen this through the afternoon, these isolated cells that develop ahead of that main line. That's what we were worried about today for the potential of tornadic thunderstorms, the individual cells, but eventually that line will catch up and push through. But we will watch that one as well. That's not in our viewing area, but this one is. It's at least the southern half of Cumberland County as that pushes to the east. So that cell right there is where we're watching. Again, Midway 724, Erasmus 727, and Hilltop Acres 732. Those are all central time zones. You can subtract an hour from the clock up here so you can get your time and make sure you're in your safe spot. But it's moving pretty quickly east-northeast at about 33 miles per hour. Now, Margot, we talked about these individual cells, but what about the line that is to the west of the area that's really going to impact more people, I think, as we go later tonight?
Yeah, so this line is actually playing tag almost with those storms. They're just out in front of it. There is one severe thunderstorm warning along this line, and it's kind of moving closer towards Cookeville, Smithville, Carthage, even just past Lebanon. Now, this line, we're getting reports out of Nashville that it's causing some downed trees, it's causing some downed power lines, even some flooding. So even though this line does not have any tornado warnings along the front of it, it's still causing damage with those damaging wind gusts, and that is going to be the main severe threat that we have going into tonight. That does not mean it's not going to cause any damage. Obviously, we're getting those reports out of Nashville, but we're going to be watching and notice it's really playing catch up. It's trying to get connected with that storm that's moving closer towards Cumberland County that Ken's watching. But again, this is going to move closer towards Ventress here in the next 30 minutes to an hour, and that's going to cause us to see lots and lots of rain. And already in Ventress County, we're seeing some rain kind of just ahead of that line. You can see the reds, the yellows there. Some heavier showers are moving on in, and Ken showed you that camera out in Cumberland County and Crossville. Heavy rain's already there as well, and this is just going to add to it. So again, there's already reports coming out of Middle Tennessee of flooding. There's already reports coming of downed trees. So we are urging you to have your weather notifications turned on, just so that we are able to stay up to date. But we're going to watch this line because this is going to be the second half of what we're expecting for today. Now, once this line gets here, that's again going to cause us to see damaging wind gusts. Also going to cause us potentially maybe to see some hail, as well as some flash flooding. But right now our main focus is in the southern half of Cumberland County, kind of taking a zoomed in look towards that area so that way you can kind of get a better picture of what's kind of going on. You can see where these kind of skits are. We call these skits. It's where these arrows are. This is going to tell us just how fast this system is moving, as well as what areas can be affected next. So this tornado warned storm is lasting until around 9 o'clock Eastern time, or excuse me, 9 o'clock Eastern time and 8 o'clock Central Time. So next up would be closer towards Lake Park around 7:28. Next would be Clifty around 7:29. Then we have Old Winesap, that's around 7:30. So these areas are going to be affected by this storm. And again, we're watching back here just one county over as it makes its way into Cumberland County. And we'll continue to watch everything. There's some good news, Ken. I think the VTI, the Virtual Threat Index, which is what we have here at WAT on our radars to know how strong these storms are, it has gone down.
Yeah, fluctuating back and forth. Again, we talked about this where these storms can cycle sometimes, again, where it may strengthen, it may get a little bit weaker. I think it is just kind of in that cycling mode as we speak, but still up high enough that we need to treat it very, very carefully. There it goes back up just a little bit. So that's what we're talking about. But notice there are two individual cells kind of right behind each other that we'll have to pay attention to. This one probably stays a little further south. That would infect more of Bledsoe County. Looks like they have a tornado warning just up to the Bledsoe County area, but this is the main one we're watching, this cell, just about to cross over, at least the area where, if we had rotation, about to cross over into southwestern Cumberland County. So we're talking about Lantana. I know that's in Cumberland County, 7:32, and Van Dever at about 7:31. Again, those are central time zones. So if you're in Crossville, southward, you need to make sure you're in your safe spot. If you're north of the Crossville area, for now, you are okay, but you need to be paying attention to this storm. Same thing for portions of Roane and Morgan County. You need to be paying attention to this cell as it's making its way to the east. Here's another live look. You're not going to be able to see if there is a tornado with this or even a funnel cloud because the rain is so heavy ahead of this storm. And that's what Margot was talking about as well, the potential for flooding, as these storms have been moving over some of the same areas in a short amount of time. But really, hail, damaging wind gusts, you can see lightning flashing behind me, and of course the threat for tornadoes as this moves through the area. So this is that cell, especially the southern half of Cumberland County, that we need to watch for. If you see the darker black shading in there, that's going to let you know that that's the potential for some hail across the area. In fact, we've seen that path from the past hour where it has produced hail, very likely We saw a size estimate of about 2¼ inches. I don't think it was quite that large, but maybe 1.5 inches, maybe 1.75 inches. So getting close to tennis ball size hail would not surprise me if that was the case with this cell. And it's still showing at least some rotation as we look inside that storm. You can see that with those brighter green shadings, letting you know we're at least seeing some moderate shear or moderate rotation within that cell. And just by showing that, you can see the reds and greens are pretty close to each other with this storm. So there is not officially a warning for northern Bledsoe County, but it is very close. Plus you have the other cell behind it that could be moving into that same direction. But this is the main one we're watching right here that's just now crossing over into southwestern Cumberland County. So again, from Crossville southward to Fairyland, Brown Elementary School, if you live near there in the Big Lick community, Newton as well, you need to make sure everybody here in your safe spot. You can always see the times approaching there on the left-hand side of your screen, and also all the warnings are running at the bottom of your screen. I do want to point out there is a tornado watch in effect for the entire area now until 2 a.m. The plateau counties, though, Fentress, Cumberland, Bledsoe, that goes until 10 Central Time or 11 Eastern Time. So you've still got about 2 hours and 40 minutes left for that potential, but yours will end sooner. Then the whole line moves east, and everybody should see that severe threat after about the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock time frame when that storm moves through. We always let you know what's the difference between a watch and a warning. Again, the watch means that it's possible that it could happen, but a warning like we have now, that's when you need to go ahead and seek your shelter. So if you live downstream from this, like I mentioned, Morgan, Roane County, you need to think about your safety plan. You should already have that in place now, but it's a good time if you don't have one to go ahead and plan on that. Another thing that we've been seeing with this is the potential for power outages. The first cell that went through, we're seeing some 2,000 in Greene County, 1,000 in Hawkins County, nothing yet. Areas to the west. I do think that will change as we go through the night. So another good idea to go ahead and keep your devices charged, your phones, your tablets, in case your power goes out, because we will be staying online and on air streaming on those platforms as well to make sure that you are updated and safe. So this is the cell, again, making its way into southern, at least the southwestern corner there of Cumberland County. So Bellevue at 729, Hilltop Acres 736, and New Era at 737. Hail size estimating around 1.75 inches. So we're getting pretty large size hail. Maybe, again, golf ball, possibly up to tennis ball size hail. Can't be ruled out with this cell as it moves through. As of right now, looking at the camera from Cumberland County, we're mainly just seeing some very heavy rainfall, and that's going to be problematic as well. You wouldn't be able to see a funnel cloud or a tornado if it were heading your way. Margot, what else have you been noticing across the region?
It's not just that tornado warned storm that's having some really heavy rain associated with it. It's also that line back there, closer towards Cookeville, Smithville, just outside of the Nashville metro area, kind of just east. That's where we're also seeing some heavier showers, as well as gustier winds. Still getting multiple reports out of Middle Tennessee about some damage in that area. But again, here at WATE, we're mainly concerned about the storm moving through Cumberland County, the southern half of Cumberland County near Crossville. Remember, there's a whole line of storms kind of moving on through, tornado warned storms actually. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. I also do want to point out that we do expect to see this back line that I've been pointing out multiple times catching up with this initial line. And what this is going to do is it's going to transition us from more of a tornado threat to more of a damaging wind threat. And that's really been one of our threats kind of going into the evening, especially over the past couple of hours. That back line has really been chasing that front line since around 4 or 5 o'clock this evening. And then this is what's going to transition us into that damaging wind gust threat. So that's that higher end of our severe threats throughout the evening. The rest of those threats under the medium chance. Now that does not mean they're not going to happen, but that just means that we do expect to see damaging wind gusts, and that's really going to play a key role into some of the damages that we see later on, because as you know, not all of us will be under a tornado warned storm today, but we could still be seeing some pretty gusty winds and still see some pretty big damages. But we are going to continue to watch this storm kind of out of Cumberland County, taking a zoomed in look once again. As Ken has mentioned multiple times, this system is rain wrapped. You can see the purples, you can see the reds, you can see it's moving north and east, kind of closer, getting closer towards Brown Elementary School, Crab Orchard, eventually going to cross over I-40 in Cumberland County. This system is just rain wrapped. So we also are getting reports again of flooding coming out of Middle Tennessee after these storms have actually moved through those areas. So we're going to be experiencing a lot. We have all of those severe threats possible this evening. So as mentioned and as urged, please, please, please have your weather notifications turned on so that way you can stay up to date as these systems move through, because we're getting later and later into the night, and eventually a lot of us are probably going to want to go to bed, and we just want you to remain safe and remain aware. Ken?
Yeah, just want to get an update again, what it looks like. Margot mentioned rain wrapped, and what she means by that is the rain is so heavy out ahead of any type of circulation, you wouldn't be able to see it. Not that you would ever go out, not that we would advise you to do that. We want you in your safe area. But if you're driving around, maybe you can't get back to your safe area yet, what we are seeing is that potential anyway of a tornado. There is a warning that has been issued for the southern half of Cumberland County, but you can see you wouldn't be able to see it. Heavy rainfall making its way into downtown Crossville right now. You wouldn't be able to see any type of a funnel if there was one across the area. A lot of lightning as well, but still ongoing. We're going to keep a track right here. This part of the cell looks to be the strongest right now. Now it's in southwestern Cumberland County. Looks like it may stay just north of the Bledsoe County line for now, but we'll watch the one south of McMinnville as well. That one may be going a little more easterly direction compared to east-northeast like this one that's moving to the north and east. So heavy rainfall, lightning, even the potential for some hail. Looks like maybe the hail size has come down just a little bit. Could be the storm is cycling or trying to redevelop across the area once again. We didn't see any storm activity areas south, so places like Roane County, Loudoun County. We still have a lot of fuel for these storms to develop, so that's what we need to watch as this continues to move east over the next, say, hour or so. If it holds together or whether it weakens, we need to watch that. But for now, southern half of Cumberland County under this tornado warning that goes basically for another 35 minutes from right now at 8 o'clock Central or 9 o'clock Eastern time. So Nicholson Heights, 733. Kiowa subdivision at 7:35 and the Lantana community at 7:35 as well. So this could be very close to the I-40 corridor within the next 15 minutes or so. So if you live in Crossville, south along that I-40 corridor, you could be impacted by this system as well. This is what it looks like downtown Crossville. Heavy rainfall, not able to see much more than probably a quarter of a mile on the horizon. There's a lot of lightning as well with this system coming in as expected, and the potential for some hail. We mentioned earlier the size of the hail with some of these storms. We were seeing estimates of maybe 1.5 to 1.75 inches. We're talking 1.5, that's ping pong ball size. 1.75 inches, we're talking golf ball size. Earlier, back into Middle Tennessee, we were seeing actual photos and reports with some of these cells that were between golf ball and tennis ball hot size hail. That can do a lot of damage. Obviously, don't need to tell you that. Go ahead and get into a safe area just for the threat for hail with these storms that are moving through the area. But that's something we'll have to watch for. But the more important is, again, seeing at least the possibility of some rotation with some of these storms. That's what has prompted the tornado warning. And we're still seeing that right through here. I think this storm is kind of regenerating or kind of redeveloping back across the area. Margot, do you have something new that's come in?
Two things. One, there was a report of quarter-sized hail in White County, so touching Cumberland County there.
Right.
And then from at Baxter Fire and Rescue just recorded at least a 38-mile-per-hour wind gust over there. So that says Upper Cumberland weather, so I'm assuming that's Cumberland County.
I think that's a little bit further north, that area. So again, this is the main system or part of the storm that we're watching. There is our rotation right there near the Lake Park area, and that's continuing to move to the north and east. So again, if you are in Cumberland County, basically from Crossville southward, want to make sure you are in your safe spot. So we're talking about Lake Park at 7:28. That's 8:28 Eastern time. So these are all central time zones, obviously, as the Cumberland and Fentress counties are in that central time zone. Seminole subdivision 7:38 and Kiowa subdivision at 7:38 as well. Back up, showing maybe up to 1.5 inch size diameter. So we're getting larger, at least reports, the opportunities that there could be some decent sized hail with this. And I just want to show you this. This is what we call our hail swath. It shows the potential of hail over the past hour. And you can see darker the purples showing up, the more likely that we have hail, and there have been numerous reports of hail along that path, so it makes perfect sense that was the case with that storm making its way through. But worst part of the storm obviously looks like it's there into the southwestern sections of Cumberland County. Radar beam height, we're getting a little high in elevation now. We're getting up to about 6,000 feet in elevation, which means the radar beam, as it goes up, since the Earth is curved, it goes up higher the farther away it goes from the radar site. So we're basically looking kind of midway up in this storm. If this is a 45,000 foot storm, we're not seeing it at the lowest elevation. We're a little bit above that. That's why it's hard to say if there is actual rotation or a tornado making contact with the ground with this. But radar indicating that there's at least some rotation with it, and that's what has prompted the tornado warning for this cell making its way through the southern half of Cumberland County. So it looks like it would be between Lake Park and the Lytton area. So right through there, anywhere through there is where our circulation could be. So again, Nicholson Heights, 7:33, Winnebago subdivision, 7:38. We talked about Brown Elementary at 7:38, now Lake Tansy at 7:39. So again, we're talking the southern sections of Cumberland County. There's Crossville, by the way, downtown Crossville. Let's get another check. I don't think this storm is going to impact downtown Crossville. It looks like it may stay just south of that, but again, it would be hard to tell. I still want you in your safe spot anywhere from downtown Crossville southward as the storm moves to the east. Margot, again, we also need to focus on that line of storms that'll be coming in from the west, eventually pushing all the way through the area.
Yeah, and I also do want to point out that the National Weather Service in Morristown has issued a severe thunderstorm warning just south of Dayton and just west of Cleveland. Now, this again is not our viewing area, but it's another storm we're going to have to keep our eyes on because it's just far enough out ahead of that initial line to where this could be kind of a problem where it could start to rotate. So we're going to watch that. But it does look like they extended that severe thunderstorm warning, Ken, into Fentress County now, and this lasts until, let's bring this down. This
till
lasts
9:30.
until 9:30. So, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. So this is that line kind of playing catch up with those initial storms, and this is bringing in some pretty gusty winds as well as heavy rainfall, hail, you name it. We could see all modes of severe weather possible, and it's starting to get a little bit messy for us here in East Tennessee as this line begins to catch up. But as soon as it does, we're going to see a combination of those quick winds, that potential for hail, even those heavier showers that could lead to some flooding. And again, still getting reports, seeing them coming up on our National Weather Service chat there. So we're going to continue to keep you updated. And again, we're heading closer towards 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. And this tornado warned storm in Cumberland County lasts for another 30 minutes. We're entering into that kind of hour where a lot of us are maybe getting ready to head off to bed. I know some of us still have work tomorrow morning. And I know a few kids here in East Tennessee still have school tomorrow morning. So you guys probably will want to have your notifications turned on just so that you're able to have that ease of mind. But again, we are still on air because of the tornado warned storm in the southern half of Cumberland County. And again, it lasts for another 30 minutes. We're going to take one more zoomed in look before I hand it back over to Ken. We're still seeing that heavier rain kind of just south of the downtown Crossville area. He keeps pulling up that camera and you can barely see what's going on in that area, Ken.
Yeah, I turned it more to that south-southwest direction again where we've got just very heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning. It's hard to tell, but that's Main Street going southward. You can't see it. It's just below the camera here. This is atop City Hall if you're familiar with that. But lots of lightning. Again, you would not be able to see if there was any type of circulation or rotation with that because of the heavy rainfall. But radar is still seeing the potential of some rotation with that. And it looks like now it is in Cumberland County, especially it's made its way out. But notice there's still another cell further south that we'd have to watch for Bledsoe County maybe in the short term. But Margot, I'm going to let you focus on the severe thunderstorm warnings to the north here in just a minute for Cumberland and Fentress County, because that's going to be ahead of that line that's going to make its way through. But the active tornado warning we have is still with this cell. Brown Elementary, Big Lick, Burke Community, make sure you're in your safe spot. Seminole Subdivision, also Kiowa Subdivision 739, Winnebago Subdivision 741, and Lake Tansy again at 742. We've seen this fluctuating up and down. Again, it's called a virtual threat index. The higher the value, the more, concern we would have with that storm. We've seen it upwards at the 7.5 range earlier, down to about a 6.8 when the warning went out, went all the way down into about a 2.5, but now back up to 4.7. We see that happen often. Storms maybe work their way into an environment that's not as conducive, and they kind of weaken or try to fall apart. But then if they get back into a better environment, environment that hasn't had many storms, it can strengthen right back up. It continues to go through that cycle, that evolution. But at this point, I'm still seeing at least some rotation, especially the southern half. And it looks like they went ahead and issued at least the northern half now of Bledsoe County under the warning to kind of match up, because it's pretty close. That cell is pretty close to being right on the Bledsoe County border. And I think they've almost timed them up. One goes until 8 for Cumberland, one goes until 8:15 Central Time for Bledsoe County. But for the most part, we're talking about at least another 30 to 35 minutes with that storm. But we'll keep it there on the Cumberland County one. Still seeing at least some rotation right through there where the blue and the greens are showing up right next to the reds. At minimum, we're going to be seeing winds maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour at minimum with this, and the potential for some hail, maybe a quarter size, a 25-cent piece, so an inch in diameter or greater as this moves through. And what Margot mentioned as well, some of these storms moving over the same areas, you've got to deal with some flash flooding. And now that we're getting very close to sunset across much of the area, that's going to be problematic as well. As Margot mentioned, there are severe thunderstorm warnings from Crossville northward up into Fentress County, and she's going to talk a little more about that as well.
Yeah, Ken, so they are warning along this secondary line, so the line that's trying to play catch up with that initial one, and these do still have severe criteria associated with them. They're having winds gusting up to at least 65 miles an hour, and quarter-sized hail is possible with this storm as well, so you don't need a tornado-warned storm to still have a chance to see some hail. So we're going to be watching this very closely. These winds are really getting gusty. Got a report out of Cookeville that they have seen some pretty gusty winds as well as some pretty heavy rainfall. And again, as Ken mentioned, you can see the deep reds, the deep oranges, even a few pinks in here, indicating to us that there is really heavy rainfall at the front of this line. And with that heavy rainfall and it getting closer and closer to sunset, it's going to really be hard to tell if there is flooding on the roadways. So we always say, hey, turn around, don't drown. But again, we are watching everything very closely, especially with this line, because they're just going to worn down this line, especially as it plays catch up again with the initial storms that are kind of moving through Cumberland County, also moving through Fentress. And right now we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Fentress and Cumberland County until closer towards about 8:30 Central, so 9:30 Eastern. We're going to continue to watch that, as well as, again, the tornado warned storm for southern Cumberland County. That lasts until 8 Central, 9 Eastern, so we still have about 30 minutes left on this warning, and we are watching behind it, or just south of it actually, in Bledsoe County. There's another tornado warned storm going on there, so a lot happening. This is again why we're urging you to have your weather notifications turned on, because we are expecting to see a busy start to our Tuesday night. But again, we're watching this secondary line that's trying to catch up really quickly actually to this initial line, and that's also going to move over another area that's already seen a lot of rain. We saw a storm kind of move over Fentress and Cumberland County, move into Morgan County earlier before we got our first tornado warned storm of the day, and so that area has already been run over quite a few times this evening, and that's just really going to add on to totals already seen rain wise. So again, watch out for flooding. Flash flooding is a potential here, and Ken has the camera pulled up from Crossville once again, just showcasing how heavy that rain is, Ken.
It really is, Margot. You can't see much more than about a quarter of a mile visibility-wise. There's been a lot of lightning with these as well. This cluster of storms is making its way through the southern half of Cumberland County, and this is our view from a downtown Crossville there. Again, you can barely see just down the road, which is usually a very clear shot, but there's a lot of lightning as well. Strong gusty winds with this making its way through, and still at least some rotation showing up on radar. So I need to just say, especially areas to the east, western Roane, the southern half of Morgan County, just pay attention. Would not be surprised if we see your counties added to some type of warning soon with this storm making its way towards the east. So right through here, there's Fairfield Glade. So you are under the severe thunderstorm warning in Fairfield Glade, but it's for this line that's still back towards Cookeville that's moving east. It's not for the tornado warned storm to your south, but south of Crossville, especially over towards Crab Orchard, excuse me, you are kind of in this line. So looks like Russell Shack Ridge, 744, Grassy Cove, 749, Cumberland Homestead, 750, and Meridian at 751. Again, those are all central time zones. Subtract an hour from here, and that's when the arrival times will be. So you don't have a lot of time as this is moving pretty quick. East-northeast at about 33 miles per hour, still showing at least the possibility maybe of some 1-inch diameter hail or larger with this cell as it's moving towards the east. Elsewhere, there are no severe thunderstorms in our region except for that one, but we need to watch areas to the south because again, we've not seen storms other than the one that made its way through McMinn County into Monroe County. We've not had a lot of activity here, so cells like the one near Dunlap, that has a chance to strengthen further to the south, portions of Ray and Meigs County. So we will keep an eye on that. But for now, this line that's coming through the Cookeville area will arrive soon for the rest of Cumberland and Fentress counties. It's this cell to the south where we're still seeing some pretty impressive rotation, at least in the mid to upper levels with this. Again, the radar beam height is getting a little bit higher. Right where that center of the storm is, we're at about 6,800 feet in elevation. So it is, again, the Earth obviously round. The radar beam goes up in elevation as it goes outward. It can go outward over 200 miles. So as it goes up, it's going up higher into the cloud top, but it's at least seeing rotation at 6,000 feet. Is there rotation at 0 feet or 1 foot off the ground, 1 foot? Hard to say. But again, there's enough that has prompted that tornado warning with that area. So again, we're pretty close to the Big Lick community right now at 740, a minute away from there. In fact, it should be there right now. Meridian 750 and Alloway right around at 753. Crab Orchard Elementary itself at 754 as this continues to make its way towards the east. I would still be paying attention. Western Roane County and at least the southern half of Morgan County. We'll see if they decide to extend this as it goes further to the east. But Margot, I know you're still keeping an eye on that line that's coming in, especially through the Cookeville area. What are you seeing with that?
Yeah, so kind of reading what the National Weather Service is saying, I also have it zoomed in kind of closer towards Cumberland County just again to hint at how heavy that rain is. You can see the pinks there. But the National Weather Service in Morristown, so that covers the majority of our viewing area besides Fentress and Cumberland counties, is talking about the severe thunderstorm warning that's just south of our viewing area. Let's kind of take a zoomed out look. So kind of closer towards Dayton, we're watching that storm. It has what we call a tornado tag. So right now there's not really much rotation going on with this singular storm, but it does have the capability of gaining rotation. So that's where they put what we call a tornado tag. And I assume that they're going to try to continue, Ken, this severe thunderstorm warning with maybe a tag like that. But you'll notice how quickly that second line has actually caught up to this initial line. You can see kind of closer towards just a little further west by Woodbury and McMinnville, that back half of that line is connecting with the bottom half of the front line, and they're starting to merge. Now this is where we could also see some pretty gusty winds as well once those two kind of storm lines merge, as well as those heavier showers. You can still again see really heavy showers in the Cookeville community, and that area has already been run over as well. So we're going to continue to see flooding being an issue well into tomorrow morning, even here in East Tennessee. Again, we had a tornado warned storm that went through Morgan County, Anderson County, Knox County, Campbell County, and it continued all the way past Morristown and eventually went towards the Tri-Cities. So there's already been a few areas already affected by the heavy rain. And again, that line is catching up quickly. We're about to see it kind of entering into Fentress County here soon. And again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:30 Eastern time, 8:30 Central time. And we still have that tornado warned storm in Cumberland County until 8 Central time, 9 Eastern time. And that's going to, that's why we are on air. And we do have, will be on air until this warning expires. And we will also be on the app. We will be online just so you can stay up to date on the weather. But this system is going to be a late night into the early hours of our Wednesday morning kind of system. So again, we're urging you to have your weather notifications turned on. But Ken, I'm going to look at a few more things. Do you have any updates?
Yeah, still taking a look at right there downtown Crossville. We're looking south now. That storm would be moving south of the downtown area, at least the part of the storm that has the rotation, but there's still quite a bit of heavy rainfall. Look at the camera bouncing up and down, indicating there is some very gusty winds with this. And as you can see, there's a lot of lightning moving through as well. Even just in touch with the Morristown, there as well, keeping a close eye on this. This is Roane County right here. This is southern Morgan County. They're keeping an eye on the two counties here with this cell moving east. I would not be surprised at minimum, if we had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for portions of Roane and Morgan. So get ready. Get ready to go into your safe area if that warning does come out. But I would not be surprised if that continues eastward. It could even be a tornado warning. We'll see. Moving east-northeast at 33 miles per hour. So currently, we still have the tornado warning for the southern half of Cumberland County that goes until 8 o'clock. Another 17 minutes from right now. This is 8 Central Time Zone. As Cumberland County, Fentress County, Bledsoe counties, they're in that Central Time Zone, where, of course, areas east are in the Eastern Time Zone. Crab Orchard Elementary towards the top of the hour. Same thing with the city itself. Looks like Alloway right around 7:56. And Meridian Christian Academy, if you know where that is, you live near that, your kids go there, 7:52. We like to put the schools on there as well for reference points, so where people know where those are in relation to where the storm could be moving to. And that's where this one is going. Still showing, again, maybe the possibility of some 1.25 inch size hail. So a little bit bigger than the size of a quarter, it looks like at this point with that storm moving to the east. So there's Interstate 40. There's the 40-75 split. That's where you go from Knox County back into Loudoun County. So we're still a ways away from that. I still want to keep a close eye on Roane County and to the southern half of Morgan County. You could be next to have this warning issued for your area as this is continuing to move off towards the east. We're getting notifications as well, so checking on these as they come out because we want to make sure we get them to you as soon as possible. But this is the main one we've been watching. No report yet, no confirmation there was a tornado, but still at least seeing some rotation with that storm as it's making its way eastward. At least some rotation right through here. You can see it south of the Crab Orchard area as I switch between radar sites here. That's the one out of Nashville. This is the one out of the Knoxville area. So we're still a little ways away. At that elevation there, we're talking at about 7,000 feet up. So we're still kind of high up, but still worth watching that cell right through there. I would not be surprised if in just a few minutes, at least the northern half of Roane, the western half of Roane County, and the southern half of Morgan County see at least some type of a warning come out. So pay attention to that. You see it just went up maybe the size of 1.75 inch size hail with that. But here again, your cities, communities, schools, subdivisions that could be listed here from Crab Orchard at 7:57 to Ozone right at about top of the hour here at 8 o'clock. But officially, this goes for another 15 minutes for Cumberland County till 8 o'clock Central Time or 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Still seeing that rotation. If you live in Crab Orchard, let's make sure you're in your safe spot, okay? it's going to be very close to that I-40 corridor, if not just south of it, as it's moving kind of to the east-northeast. At some point, it looks like it could be very close to crossing Interstate 40. Margot, any updates over there?
So we're at least going to be staying on until 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, just because of that area that Ken mentioned.
They did go ahead and issue the warning for
Yeah.
Ray,
Oh,
Roan,
they
and
did?
Ray, Roan, and Morgan counties.
Okay, I'm going to let Ken handle that and look at a few other things so that way he can give you guys an update on that warning a little bit quicker.
Okay, so again, you'll see it pop up here any second. We talked about portions of Roan, Morgan County. You're going to see it pop up on the screen, and I'll get an updated time on when this is going to go until, but not surprising, they're seeing that as well. So there it is. There's the new warning. So the Cumberland County one goes for 14 more minutes. The Roan County one, that goes until 9:45, so an hour from now. That means at minimum we're going to be on the air for another hour. I know we're covering up programming, but we need to make sure our viewers and your family members and friends are safe. I know Knoxville eastward at this point, you're not dealing with it, but areas to the west are. All right, that's why we stay on the air. It's our policy to do so, but still watching this cell south of the downtown Crossville area. It could be very close to Crab Orchard and the Alloway area. So heads up Rockwood, New Hope, southern Morgan County. Here's some of the areas that could be impacted. So Renegade 758, Ozone at 8:01, Dogwood right at the top of the hour at 1 o'clock. That storm really is kind of shown still at least some rotation with it. It's been wobbling back and forth, but still of interest. And I'm kind of glad that the Weather Service did go ahead and extend that warning a little further east. It makes sense, as we are still seeing some shear right there in the center of circulation where this orange arrow is. A storm moving east at 40 miles per hour, so it is moving very quickly. There's going to be heavy rainfall with this. There's most likely going to be some hail as well. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning further to the south that will include southern sections of Ray County. Not quite in our viewing area, but something we'll have to watch if this holds together, makes its way maybe up into Meigs County and the western portions of McMinn County. Severe thunderstorm warning on that, but this is the tornado warning, which has been extended now for Roan County and the southern portions of Morgan County. So it doesn't include Wartburg as of now. We'll have to maybe deal with that line of storms coming through your area. So Petros, Wartburg, that's more of the line we'll have to watch for. But this individual cell, the question will be, does the line catch up with the cell? Because what will eventually happen, they'll kind of merge together. And most likely it disrupts the inflow. It disrupts the circulation and kind of absorbs it, if you will, but still turns it into a line of storms that can produce 60, 70 mile per hour winds. That certainly is going to be a concern. So we'll watch for that. But these individual cells that are out ahead of that line, that's what we have to watch for. And that's why we're continuing to follow this one that is making its way through. Elsewhere in and around East Tennessee, we just have some rain up into portions of Morgan, Campbell, also Scott, Fentress counties. They still have the severe thunderstorm warning. Don't want to forget about this line that's coming out of Putnam County and making its way east towards at least western Fentress and northwestern Cumberland County. That's going to be more of a damaging wind threat. That's why they have a severe thunderstorm warning there. But this is the tornado warning right here. These communities listed are for that tornado warning, which goes until 9:45. So a little less than an hour now for at least the northern and western portions of Roan County and the southern half, we'll say, of Morgan County. That's the I-40/75 split in Loudoun County. So again, we'll keep an eye on that. And southern Anderson County, you could be next as this storm is making its way eastern. The same areas that had the tornado warning earlier today could be impacted by this. Margot, you have some updates?
Just got a report from a operator out in Cumberland County that there was a report of half-inch hail near Lake Tansy, I think I pronounced that right. So there was a report of that. I also do want to point out, as Ken mentioned before, that we have a secondary line kind of trying to catch up with this initial line, and it's really getting close. And when it comes close enough and actually connects with that initial line, there is going to be some disruption with that initial line. So that's going to cause us to possibly not see as much rotation, which would be really good news, especially because this tornado warned storm heading closer towards Harriman is actually kind of taking the same path as what we saw earlier earlier today. I do also want to point out the winds that we're seeing kind of just out ahead of Cookeville. As you remember, this is again is our reflectivity, so this is where we're seeing that initial start of that back line. You can actually see where we're seeing some pretty gusty winds occurring. So even though that rotation possibly might not be here anymore once that second line catches up to that first line, does not mean that we're out of the woods for severe threats to be out of here. We still have that chance of seeing those really gusty winds, and you again can see that along that initial line, kind of going back to our reflectivity. That's that in the start of that secondary line. So we're going to watch that as it continues to make its way closer towards Fentress and the northern half of Cumberland County. I know still the southern half of Cumberland County has that tornado warning storm for about another 9 minutes, but that warning was extended into Roane and Morgan counties until 9:45 Eastern time. And again, we're still seeing some of that rotation, kind of taking a look at the storm relative velocity here. This is just where we're able to see the rotation that's going on within this storm. You can see kind of closer towards Grassy Cove, Ozone, Dogwood, Allway, and even closer towards Hillcrest. We're seeing that kind of rotation occurring there. And again, it's moving into closer to Harriman, eventually kind of going closer towards West Knox County, eventually down the line. But we're definitely going to be watching this very closely. And it's actually about to kind of go across I-40 there as you go from Cumberland County into Roane County, I believe. It's Roane County, or is it Morgan County?
Southern half of Morgan and western Roane where the warning is.
Okay, cool. So that's where kind of you will see that kind of cross over there. But again, we're watching this rotation very closely, and it's not just that. We're also watching the severe thunderstorm warning just north of that. We're also watching the severe thunderstorm warning just south of that. Yes, it's not in our viewing area, but it's closer towards Dayton, and it even has some rotation associated with it too. So once this secondary line catches up to the rest of the line, we could see that rotation kind of dropping down just a little bit, but there's no guarantees, so we're going to watch everything closely. And again, we are in for a pretty busy night going into the next couple of hours, so make sure you have your weather notifications turned on. One last look at our reflectivity, just so that way you can see it's not just wind, it's not just that rotation that we're looking for, it's also that heavy rain. Lots of flooding kind of coming out of Middle Tennessee already, and we did have a storm move through earlier this afternoon, and we're about to be run over again by showers and storms once again, so that's really just going to cause an issue flooding wise. So we're definitely going to have to watch everything closely. Right now, seeing some heavier showers kind of in the southern half of Cumberland County, seeing some heavier showers kind of begin moving into Fentress County, and eventually those heavier showers are going to continue to move into Morgan County, Roane County, then we have Loudoun County, West Knox County. We still have some rain kind of in Anderson and Campbell County right now, but that's a little lighter in nature compared to what we're expecting later on. Ken?
Margo, keeping an eye on Traffic Tracker 6 as well, so kind of following that cell as it's making its way east through Cumberland County, getting pretty close to the Morgan County and Roane County border. We can take a look at the TDOT SmartWay cameras in these areas, and this is the one right there at mile marker 341.6. So as you're coming down, I believe this would be the you're coming eastward traffic. There's a lot of lightning with this one as well. You imagine slow going coming down that hill as well, and then just a little bit further on the other side, you can see that traffic coming down. That would be the areas that are coming down the mountain. So this is coming eastbound as well. Westbound traffic would be on the other side. So lots of lightning going on with these storms as they are moving through. I would imagine some extremely heavy rainfall as well. You can see that again, a lot of lightning. Let's go back. We'll take a look again. This cell that we're watching, the area of concern is right through here, moving east at about 40 miles per hour. So south of the Fairfield Glade community, moving east, heads up Daysville at the top of the hour here in the next 6 minutes. 9 Eastern or 8 Central time, Deerwood at 8:06, and then Lakemont Heights at 9:07. That's going to be right there on the border, I think, between Morgan and Roane County, the western section. So this is going to move right along or jog north of I-40, I think, pretty close to where we had those cameras pulled up just a minute ago there into Roane County. Looks like 9:07 at Lakemont Heights again, and 9:07 at Highland Forest. So the warning goes for a little bit longer, 8:55 right now. This goes until 9:45, so another 50 minutes right along I-40 through western sections of Roane County. That includes Harriman and Kingston, Oakdale and Morgan County, Dearmont as well. This does not include Wartburg right now, but just to your south. Still need to pay attention to it. And we'll see again, this has kind of been a long tracked cell, meaning it's been by itself moving off towards the east for a long time. We'll see eventually that line catches up to it, or if it stays ahead of that line coming up over the next say at least 45 minutes to an hour, but you can already see that line now starting to come in. So northwestern Cumberland County, if you're in Crossville, you're no longer impacted by this tornado warning, but you are impacted by the severe thunderstorm warning. Same into Fentress County. We're going to see the potential for some really strong winds along that line as it moves through, maybe 60+ mile/hour wind gust as that moves off towards the east. So make sure, please, you're paying attention to that and you're in your safe spot here as those will come through. But the tornado warned storm right there, eastern Cumberland County, about to make its way pretty close to the border, I'd say, between the southern Morgan and northwest Roane County borders. So again, anytime you see the 8 o'clock hours, those are central time zones. That's going to be in the eastern portions of Cumberland County, 9:10 and 9:10 there for Highland Forest and Lakemont Heights. That's going to be as you get right there between the Morgan and Roane County borders, a little closer to that I-40 corridor. And it's been holding its own, staying at least in that virtual threat index between that 4 to 6 range over the past, say, 30 to 40 minutes since we've been on the air, and it's moving east at 40. So it is moving pretty quickly. There is the potential for some hail, so 100% chance that there's at least some hail, and it's saying a 60% chance that it's severe hail, or 1 inch in diameter or larger. Which again, you'd be talking about the size of a 25-cent piece or a quarter. Margot, you've got an update. What are you watching over there?
So I'm still watching that severe thunderstorm warning that's just moved past kind of Cookeville. It's to the east now of that area, but there have been multiple reports coming out of Putnam County, which is where Cookeville is located, of multiple trees down throughout the county, west and east. So this line, even though it does not have a tornado warning associated with it, still is bringing some damage to wherever area goes through. And you can see that line is really strong. You can see the heavy rain again, and just looking at the shears, kind of this is where we can tell where we're seeing those winds. You can see along that initial start of that second half of that line how strong those winds are. And I know it did move a little bit, but that's because this line is slowly but surely catching up to the initial line ahead of it. So like Ken mentioned before, like we've mentioned before, these lines are going to combine with each other. And not only is this really going to cause our damaging wind gust threat to increase, but it's also going to cause our flooding threat to increase as well, because these two systems are really having some heavy rain associated with them. You can see the heavy rain kind of moving through the southern half of Cumberland County, moving on into Morgan and Roane counties. You can see the heavy rain moving into Fentress County, and then some heavy rains beginning to move into northern Cumberland County. So we have a lot going on weather-wise, and again, still keeping a very close eye on that tornado warned storm closer towards the Cumberland, Morgan, and Roane County lines right there. And that's along I-40. That's a very heavy traveled area. So we're going to have to watch that very closely. And again, next up, just outside that warning area would be closer towards Anderson and Knox counties once again. So we'll have to watch everything, but we do see and do expect to see some severe thunderstorm warnings along this back line, especially once it starts playing catch up with this initial line. And again, we're watching everything. We're even watching this severe thunderstorm warning that's closer towards the Dayton community. I know this isn't in our viewing area, but it's eventually going to combine with the initial storm, the back storm. They're all three going to come together. And again, that's where we get those heavier showers. That's where we get those deluges. That's where we just expect to see that flooding occurring, especially in the Southern Valley, you know, those flood prone spots. So we will continue to watch everything. But again, we do have one tornado warned storm, and that has now been extended into Morgan and Roane counties until 9:45 Eastern time. Looks like they cut back on the Cumberland County warning there. That one is supposed to expire here right now, 8 o'clock Central time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Ken?
They just let it expire. I wanted to kind of also hone in on what you were talking about, the flood potential. What I've done is I called up a product that's letting you know the potential for flooding. So the brighter the colors we get in the yellows, oranges, and reds, the more likely we're talking about some flooding. So that is right along the path of that storm, there are a couple that are moving over the same area. So not only are we dealing with a threat for possible rotation and tornadoes, but also the threat for flooding for the southern half of Cumberland County. That's going to continue. Looks like further to the south, they're going to be tracking this. I'm going to switch back over to the radar product here. Areas to the south, they're going to be watching this cell right through here, Ray Meigs County. That storm has had a history of some hail with it earlier. Not seeing huge signature of rotation, but as it made its way from Dunlap up to the Dayton area, there is some hail most likely with that. But it's moving more towards the north and east. Did we get a new tornado warning now for Cumberland, Margo?
Yeah, it's for that back half that was closer towards McMinnville. So
Okay.
that's been kind of going up and down intensity-wise.
Okay.
So it doesn't surprise me that they
So they just reissued. So it's going to
Yeah.
be now with this part of the cell that's making its way through. So right back over the same area. So again, not only is there a tornado warning for this, but also the possibility of flooding. So again, still make sure you're in your safe spot anywhere basically in this area. Let's see when this warning goes until. That's going to be 8:45 Central Time or 9:45. So one here and one here. So Margo, I'm going to let you focus on the one back to the back, and I'm going to take a little bit closer to that one that's further east, kind of making its way over right on the border now between Morgan, Roane, and Anderson, or excuse me, Morgan, Roane, and Cumberland County. And I'm going to switch over here. So it's right there. It's very, very close to the border there. So Margo's focusing on the tornado warning to the west. I'll focus on the one that is now east of Crab Orchard. But Crab Orchard, you need to still be in your safe spot because of that cell coming in from the west. And again, heavy rainfall moving over the same areas. That's going to be problematic. We're past sunset now. It's 9:02. Again, you're watching continuing coverage of tornado warned storms, especially across our plateau counties here on WATE. It's our policy. We stay on the air in a tornado warning until that threat is over with across the area. So please make sure you're in your safe spot, especially southern Morgan and western Roane counties. This storm could be very close to the I-40 corridor moving east. So Harriman, Oakdale, Dearmont, Kingston, you need to be in your safe spot. Go ahead and get there now. Still a ways away, but I want you to get to it now. Be safe. You can take your phone, you can take your tablet, turn up your TV if you need to. We will let you know when that threat is over with. But again, back to the west, not a tornado threat, Crossville northward, but a damaging wind threat potential as this whole line is going to be pushing through the area. So over the next 3 hours, this line is going to be pushing through, and we're going to see the potential for additional damaging wind gusts and maybe some additional tornadoes out ahead of that main line. And this is one of the main ones we're watching now, getting into Roane County, southern half of Morgan County. Again, pick out your areas. Rockwood, that's in Roane County at 9:11. High School, pretty close to there as well. Cardiff at 9:15. Dogwood Heights at 9:15 as well. So again, Kingston, Harriman, Oakdale, Dearmont, let's get in your safe spot just to be on the safe side. No confirmed tornado, but you wouldn't be able to see it anyway, as heavy as the rainfall is with this system that's coming in. Now, Margo, I know you've been watching the storm back to the west that prompted the new tornado warning for the same area that just got out of a tornado warning.
Yeah, so kind of keeping a very close eye just on Cumberland County in general, watching some pretty gusty winds kind of occurring closer towards Lake Park. Just go ahead if you're in the southern half of Cumberland County, south of Crossville, getting your safe zone because we have the one that's just east of Crab Orchard occurring that Ken's watching. There's some rotation kind of occurring closer towards Big Lake, closer towards Hale Mill, and even further west, kind of taking a look closer towards Moneyham, near Pine Creek. This is one that has actually had the National Weather Service out in Morristown add another tornado warning for Bledsoe County. So there's a lot going on just in this small area here. But again, I'm watching the one that's just west of Crab Orchard. And the next up areas, kind of according to our skit here, would be Russell Shack Ridge, closer towards Meridian Christian Academy, Grassy Cove, Cumberland Homesteads, Meridian, Mountain View Estates, and then Haley's Grove. So any area that I just listed out, go ahead and get into your safe space. Also, if you're closer towards Burke in the very far southern half of Cumberland County, go ahead and get in your safe place as well. I know the storm just north of you is not affecting you at the moment, but again, just out west, kind of closer towards Moneyham, Lonewood, there's another rotation kind of occurring. So that's kind of on the Bledsoe Cumberland County line there, and we're going to watch everything. There's a lot, again, occurring in this small area, so just kind of make sure you have your weather notifications turned on, because I know we've been listing a lot of communities in the Cumberland County area. So we just want you to make sure you're staying safe and staying weather aware. And again, this system is kind of going in line with the earlier warning that we saw this afternoon. And this is also going to cause us to be run over by a lot of rain. This is our reflectivity, kind of just taking a look there. Let me get this moved. You can see the reds kind of closer towards Big Lick, the pinks closer towards Brown Elementary School, Fairyland closer towards Old Winesap, Lake Park, Big Lick, Burke, Dogwood, Crab Orchard, anywhere that I just named, seeing heavy rain. And we've showed you that kind of from our crossfield camera multiple times, that heavy rain that's been moving on through. You will not be able to see this rotation that's occurring, but it's definitely heavy rain out there. There's potentially some hail as well as the rotation. But again, we're watching everything. We have 2 warned storms. Both of them go until 8:45 Central, 9:45 Eastern. So we will be on air, online, and on the app until this warning expires, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Ken?
Yeah, Margot, just again, I wanted to check the TDOT Smart Way cameras. You can see a lot of lightning. This will be right where that cell is, getting into western sections of Roane County, coming out of Cumberland County. Slow going traffic, as you would imagine, and it looks like some very heavy rainfall along with the lightning in that area, as well as you're kind of coming down the mountain and making that turn to come down in the lower elevation. So we'll watch for that. Margot, I want you to also, if you could, focus on southeast Kentucky. It looks like we have a severe thunderstorm warning in that area as well. So we'll check back with her in a minute. But this cell is now coming out. The forward cell is coming out of Cumberland County, moving into Roane County. So there's your rotation, pretty close to Rockwood, so right in that area. So again, Roane State Community College, it could be there at about 9:14. That's 7 minutes away if you live anywhere near there. South Harriman at 9:19, and West Hills the same. So moving east-northeast at 38. So Rockwood, Cardiff, Harriman, Basiltown, Oakdale, Piney, you all need to be in your safe spot as that cell's moving east. Possibility of some rotation with this area. The red shading, that's the warm colors. The easiest way to remember warm, moving away from the radar site. The cool colors moving towards. That's counterclockwise rotation. That is some tight rotation right through there. That's why the warning is still ongoing. That's why we're staying on the air. Again, we're at 9:08 Eastern Time, 8:08 Central Time. The warning we have goes till 9:45. That's going to be at least for another 35 minutes. Areas to the east of Cumberland County, but Margot's going to be focusing as well on the one back the western part of the county, but we're going to check in with her in just a minute up in southeast Kentucky, where we have some severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued there as well. But focusing on this tornado warned storm, looks like it's coming out of eastern Cumberland County. That flashing red box, that's the border between Cumberland, southern Morgan, and northwestern Roane County. So there's Rockwood, there's Cardiff, this gold line, that's Interstate 40, which tracks all the way back into the downtown Knoxville area. So Margot, what do you have with the latest up into Kentucky?
So in Kentucky, as well as the northern half of our viewing area, so the areas that touch Fentress County and the northern half of Cumberland County, the National Weather Service in Morristown, for our Tennessee counties at least, says that they potentially will be extending the severe thunderstorm warning for those areas, which include Scott County, Campbell County, Anderson County, because the environment does support a severe thunderstorm warning. That does not mean it does not support tornado kind of parameters, but they're looking at a few things in order to confirm that continuation of that severe thunderstorm warning. Further north towards Whitley and McCreary County, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for that area. That is because winds are gusting up to potentially 60 miles an hour within that storm system. There is a chance to see some quarter-sized hail. You can actually see that back half line is finally catching up to that initial line. It's slowly getting there, almost kind of closing the gap in between Wartburg and Jamestown. And you can see where those severe thunderstorm warnings are coming out of. It's because of that back half line. That's bringing us that heavy rain. It's bringing us that lightning show. And you can see it from our Crossville camera just to the left of me. You can see it from our T-Dot camera out in Rockwood. So we're seeing a lot kind of going on. But this line is really going to cause some issues as we head further into the night, not only because there's that potential to see those gustier winds that could cause some damage, but also because of the rain and the lightning. There's a lot going to happen. All severe parameters are possible with this system moving on through. And again, that tornado warned storm moving through Morgan and Roane County, as well as the back half. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Jen?
sorry. Just want to let you know a new tornado warning's come out for Ray and Meigs and northwestern McMinn County. This is going to go until 10 o'clock. So there's McMinn County. It's with this cell right here near the Gravesville area. There's Dayton. That's moving to the north and east. So it won't be long before it's in our McMinn County viewing area. This is Ray. That's Meigs County. So it's moving pretty quickly east-northeast at about 33 miles per hour. So come to the areas. South Dayton, 916. Dayton itself at 917, Piney Acres 918, and Sentinel Heights, that's a subdivision at 919. So again, southern Ray, southern Meigs, and at least the western half, I'll say, of McMinn County. So that's going to be west of the I-75 corridor for now. That goes until 10 o'clock. And this is what we were talking about. We have these individual cells that are popping up ahead of this main line because this environment we have hasn't seen much in the way of storms earlier today. There is your hook right through there, Graysville, Dayton, Decatur, Allen, Athens, just north of you. We'll see what track this takes, but right now we've got it going east-northeast, so it'll be pretty close to the Athens area, maybe just north of that, but it would cross I-75 coming up as we get in the next, say, 35 to 40 minutes. But all these red flashing boxes you're seeing back to the north and west, those are all tornado warnings that are still ongoing for our area. So let's focus back on this one that's getting pretty close right there to the Harriman area. It's probably there right now. This is a tornado warning which goes until 9:45, and we are right on the border between Morgan County and also Roane County. There's I-40 coming back towards the east. There's Kingston. You need to be in your safe spot. Dry Hill, you should already be there. Bowers Elementary, Harriman, you should be there. Oakdale should be there as well. So looks like Roane State, the college at 9:17, that's 4 minutes away. Harriman, the south side at 9:21, and Bowers Elementary at 9:21. It's moving east-northeast at 38. Pretty good chance there's some hail with that as well. Again, can't say for certain that there's a tornado with this, but we're seeing at least some rotation showing up with this cell as it's been moving to the east. And it's moving pretty quickly. The good news is the radar scans are coming in fast. We're getting lots of quick updates with this, which is great. But don't wait. If you are in any area that you see shaded here within this cone, you need to make sure you're in your safe spot. So Kingston, Harriman, Basiltown, Oakdale, Blair, you need to be in your safe area. So we'd be getting there now. It would be getting close to the western side of Anderson County. We'll see if they'll continue this warning. At this point, I don't see why they wouldn't. As we get a little bit further down the road, 9:45 is when this expires, so 30 minutes from now. But you just need to make sure you're paying attention. The southern half of Anderson County and even the northern sections of Loudoun County at this point and the rest of Roane County. So really that tri-county area needs to be watched. And by the way, this is West Knox County. So we're not far from that either. But right through there, that would be our rotation between Cardiff, Deerwood, Pine Orchard. That's going to be the southern sections of Morgan County. Harriman itself, 9:22. The high school and middle school, right around 9:23. Again, not a confirmation that there is a tornado, but we are seeing rotation within this. Another thing it's going to be very difficult to see, and that's if there were any type of a funnel with this, because it is just raining so hard. That's another thing we're going to be dealing with, is the potential for flash flooding with these rain bands moving over the same same areas. You can see all the lightning off in the distance here. Margot, you got an update?
So they are going to extend the severe thunderstorm warning for Campbell, Roan into Anderson, closer towards Morgan, and even I think it says Loudoun County as well. But they're extending that severe thunderstorm warning that was affecting, remember, the northern half of Cumberland County and Fentress County into the rest of our areas. They're just warning ahead of this line, which is good because, again, we've seen reports coming out of Middle Tennessee of winds being rather gusty along this line. And I do want to kind of take a zoomed out view. I know Ken is zoomed in to try to showcase where the rotation is occurring, especially with those tornado warned storms. But you can actually tell where we're seeing the most activity with that rotation, and it's at the bottom half of our viewing area, kind of closer towards the southwestern half of our viewing area near the Southern Valley. And this is actually where we were expecting to see these kind of stronger storms moving on through, because there was more kind of juice, there was more ingredients in the atmosphere. So we are watching kind of this area in the southern half of Cumberland County, moving on into Roan, Morgan County. Eventually, this could trickle on into the northwestern half of Knox County. So we will be watching very closely, because again, we did already have one tornado warned storm that moved through that exact area just a few hours prior, or actually about 4 or 5 hours prior to this. But we do have a tornado warned storm that's lasting until 9:45 for Roan and Morgan County. We have about 30 minutes left on this storm, and we do potentially could see that extended. But I think, Ken, what they did, at least what it looks like what they did, they extended that severe thunderstorm warning past that tornado warned storm, and they probably have a tour tag. Am I correct on that thinking?
That's the one that's now the new one that just came out. Let me see.
Sorry, I did not.
You're fine. It does not have a potential tornado tag on it, but what I think they are thinking is that line you've been talking about will eventually just catch up with that or merge that whole cell just into a line. But it's these individual cells out ahead of the line that we still have to keep an eye on. So this one, right on the Ray County, Meigs County border, could clip northwestern McMinn County. That's moving northeast. It's kind of in its own environment. It has shown some rotation with this earlier as well, down to the south. So that one needs to be watched. The one that's in Bledsoe County, Margot, that's making its way, again, the southern part of Cumberland County. That is a very interesting storm to watch there. Maybe a slightly better chance of that one producing a tornado. But let's focus again on this cell that is right here on the Morgan and Harriman, or Roan County border rather, that's just moved out of Cumberland County. So it's pretty close to Harriman as we speak right now. If there was a tornado, it would be there. Emory Gap at 923, south side of Harriman coming up at 924. There's your rotation right there. Downtown Harriman 926, Middle School 927, Basiltown, that's going to be 928. So you got to get in your safe area now. We'll keep an eye areas near Coalfield and Blair as well. That would be getting a little bit closer to portions of Anderson County here in the short term, not too far away as well. So we'll watch to see if Anderson and Knox County get included in this. Not at this point, but worth watching anyway. Again, let's go a little further south to that other storm. They're coming in so hot and heavy. It's hard to keep up with, but we're doing our best to do that and make sure you guys are staying safe. But this one down through near Dayton right now, that's what's prompted the Ray and Meigs tornado warning till 10 o'clock. That one looks like it could be strengthening just a little bit. That one's moving northeast, east-northeast at about 33 miles per hour. There's your rotation there, probably just south of the Dayton area. And then the storm further to the north and west, this one could be right on the border between Bledsoe and Cumberland County. That goes till 8:45.
Hey, Ken.
Yes.
Do you want to point out that there has been a report into the National Weather Service of golf ball sized hail on Burgess Road in Crossville in Cumberland County, and they're hearing of damage in Cumberland County. So waiting to see more information, and I'm sure we will have more information soon.
Yeah, I don't know if that's tornado damage, hail damage, but either way, again, you're not done. There's another cell that could be pretty close to at least the southern half of Cumberland County, and it's with this cell here that's right on the border between Bledsoe and Cumberland County. So that one will need to be watched right through here. In fact, there's some, I'd say, pretty decent rotation showing up near Bellevue right through there. That would be the area of concern. That's in northern Bledsoe County right there. That one definitely needs to be watched as that's moving northeast. So that one moving east-northeast at 36. So that could be very close to the southern sections of Cumberland County. Again, there are your times. Hale Mill, 836. New Era, 837. Nicholson Heights at 839. Let's go a little further to the east. There's our warning down right on the Ray and Meigs County border. That tornado warning goes until 10 o'clock. That's still showing some decent rotation with that one as well. Moving east-northeast at 33, so not quite into our McMinn County area, but you need to be safe there. Idlewild to Nyota and Acme Mill, you need to be in your safe space just as this comes down not too far from now. Let's check on this one now through the Harriman area. Kind of hard to see where the rotation would be. Probably if there's anything right through here, but this looks like some very strong winds, maybe 50 to 60 mile per hour winds between Pine Orchard and southern Morgan County and near Harriman and Roane County. That's probably where the strongest part of that cell is, but the tornado warning continues there until 9:45, so about another 20 minutes from right now as that's moving east. Here are some of the areas. High school and middle school of Harriman, 923, now getting an update there. Looks like Brashears subdivision, 926, and Walker subdivision at 927. Looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out. That's going to be up into Kentucky. Bell, Knox, Whitley, and McCreary counties in Kentucky, severe thunderstorm warning until 10:15. That's going to be a potential for some wind damage as that line makes its way through. But again, eventually this is going to turn into just a line of thunderstorms with the potential for damaging winds to come through. But in the short term, we're still seeing the individual cells that are of concern. And let me point those out. This one here, the one near Kingston, there's your line of storms that's coming through. So places like Cookeville, you're probably done with your severe threat. Jamestown, I think you're done. Scott County, not yet. Campbell County, not yet, as that line moves to the east. Looks like they included all of Anderson County under a severe thunderstorm warning now. So we'll see. I think they're just kind of expecting this line to catch up with the individual cells and just kind of merge into one line. But the problem is, like the ones further to the south, it may outrun this line for a little bit longer. So that's why we need to focus, especially in McMinn County, on this storm. Let's just take a look areas to the north into Morgan County with the severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, Margot, go ahead.
Sorry, I just do want to point out, pull up my camera if you guys can in the back. I do want to pull out just ahead of this storm. This is one of our SmartWay cameras from TDOT along I-40 mile marker 363.9. You can see the lightning show, and if you look close enough, you can actually see that rain line moving closer and closer into the area. So when we're saying, hey, make sure you're staying at home, you're staying in your safe space, even if you're not being affected directly by this tornado warning storm, we really mean it, because this is a very active system moving on through, no matter if it's a tornado warning near your area, a severe thunderstorm near your area. We've got you covered about that, but I just wanted to showcase the kind of lightning storm that's occurring there, and also that heavy rain line that you can see very far in the distance. Back to you, Ken, sorry.
No problem at all. Again, here, let's take a look at Morgan County. I've kind of looking inside the storm, seeing the winds, estimating about 60 miles per hour. We're about 6,000 feet up in elevation right here, but those could easily be translated down to the surface. So that's why the severe thunderstorm warning has been issued there for portions of Morgan, Fentress, and Cumberland County, with this line of storms coming through that has the potential to produce these damaging wind gusts. And you can see that whole line right through here. So anywhere along here, especially right through there, heads up Burrville, Sunbright, Wartburg, that line is heading your way. That could be damaging wind gusts that could easily cause some power outages, some power outage concerns. Further to the south, we still have this tornado warning. Heads up the Dillis community, that's in Roane County. Century Acres, Christ community, you need to make sure you are in your safe spot as this moves east. Still looks like the threat for some extremely heavy rainfall flooding. There's going to be a lot of lightning with this. I can turn on the lightning real quick, and you can see there's over almost 500 strikes of lightning just within this field of view in the past 15 minutes. So that's why it is so active, very noisy out there. And you're probably hearing this maybe as far away as Knox County, up into Union County as well, as this is pushing towards the east. Damaging winds, possibly some rotation. Still seeing at least some weak rotation between Kingston and the Bowers Elementary area there. That's in Roane County. So that's what's still prompting and continuing the tornado warning. The north side of this, the Oakdale to Basiltown, that's probably some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. I can actually take a look and see. So that dark pink, that's 55. There's 45, that's 47. So we're probably easily seeing some 50 to 50 mile per hour winds here. Still seeing that rotation right over the Kingston area now. So please make sure you're still in your safe spot. Looks like we're going to get a severe thunderstorm warning for Knox County. Looks like they're going to extend that a little bit farther to the east. We'll see when that comes out. There it is right there. So that warning goes until 10:30. So what I'm thinking, Margot, is they're going to probably say that that is going to move east. But I don't know. Let me see real quick.
I do also want to point out that there is thunderstorm wind damage in Cumberland County that we're getting reports on of a structure damage. Also, I don't know about you, Ken. I don't know if you're pulling from which radar, but they did say that the Huntsville radar is down. So
okay.
Just a heads up on that.
They did say, so this severe thunderstorm warning that now includes northern Loudoun, Anderson, and Knox County. Let's go ahead and turn on the generator, at least get that going, guys, upstairs, please. This means it's a severe thunderstorm warning, but it says tornado possible, okay? Because they're still seeing that circulation back between the Harriman and Kingston area, they want to just say, hey, this has the chance to produce some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, but it also could produce a tornado. This is why you need to take it seriously. So now we're talking about a majority of Knoxville westward. You also need to be in your safe area. Southern half of Anderson County. So here's kind of where we're talking about. There's Brashear's subdivision at 929, Sugar Grove 931, Elverton at 936 as that moves to the east. So Knoxville, heads up, you need to go ahead and just get into your safe spot. Take your bottle of water, take your phone, take your tablet, or turn up your TV and just go in there and take it easy. We'll tell you when this severe threat moves off towards the east, away from your area. But for now, they're saying, hey, this is a severe thunderstorm potential, but could also produce a tornado. We're getting pretty close from this line moving to catching up with these individual cells, and it's eventually going to just merge into a line that will sweep east. But my concern is you get the individual cells still out ahead of that line. So that's why we need to watch McMinn County. We'll need to watch Loudoun, portions of at least the northern part of Monroe County as this is pushing to the east. While I've got it up here, let's take a look. That is Cumberland County and Crossville, but I think I also have, okay, so this is downtown Knoxville looking west. There's the sun sphere here on the left-hand side. This is the L&N STEM Academy here, so you can see the lightning off in the distance. So this area will be under a severe thunderstorm warning. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning here. They're still talking about, have there been any reports of any damage back through portions of where the current warning is now coming out of Roane County. They say no, not as of yet. But again, don't go out looking, please. If you are under one of these warnings, you need to stay in your safe area. But eventually this cluster of storms is moving east between Blair, the ORNL complex, and Oak Ridge itself. But what they did, the Weather Service says this is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning, but has a tornado possible tag on it, which means there is that possibility you could see a tornado from these systems. Yeah, Margot? Say that one more time. I think they turned your mic off.
They're going to continue the tornado warning in McMinn County, it looks like. So the one just below Kingston, kind of moving just west of Madisonville.
Yeah, that one definitely looks to be of concern, that one further to the south. As you mentioned, it looks like the radar site may be down in Huntsville, but we're still getting a good view of it here. So right now, Athens, I'd say you're okay, but just north of you, you need to make sure you're in your safe spot from Decatur Hills. Coming up here in the next minute, that's going to be crossing over here into McMinn County out of Meigs County. Fikeston, it looks like that's at 940, Tranquility at 942, and Clearwater at 943. That one has strengthened a little bit over the past couple of scans, so that one certainly has not only my attention, but also there at the Weather Services, they're keeping an eye on that, and you can actually see that rotation right through here. So getting very close to the Meigs County border with McMinn County. And there's I-75 to put it in perspective. There's Calhoun, there's Athens, there's the Philadelphia area in Loudoun County. So right between there, if you've traveled that I-75 corridor, you know the area that we're talking about. So that will need to be watched as well. That one's moving northeast, which is kind of a different movement from what we've seen over some of these other storms earlier this evening, but still worth watching there. Now, a little bit closer, I'm not seeing quite the rotation that we were earlier with this cell that prompted the tornado warning. That one goes for just a few more minutes, 14 more minutes as this moves to the east, coming out of Roane County. There's Harriman, and then we're talking about Anderson County as you get a little further to the east. So there's Dillis, that's still in Roane County, so is Blair, but there's ORNL, Y12, Oak Ridge, Norwood Elementary. So that would be our border there with Anderson County moving to the east. There may be some very broad rotation still somewhere just north of the Kingston area, maybe turning more into a wind damage potential like we're seeing with this brighter pink shading there, especially west of the Coalfield area. But you still need to be in your safe area regardless. Sugar Grove, 933. Orchard Valley Estates, 937. Jonesville, 941. Looks like maybe our hail threat has come down just a little bit with this as well, but I know that storm has had a history of producing hail over the past hour, and you can kind of see that track as it went from Crab Orchard, kind of weakened a little bit there between Harriman and Oakdale. So that warning continues, Margot, but I think there's probably just a little less rotation compared to what it was earlier and turning more maybe into a wind threat. So possibly what we're seeing is that line that's to the north now going through Scott County and Morgan County is in kind of impacting the inflow of the cells here. Now this is still some very heavy rainfall. Flooding is going to be a concern. Still, I checked a minute ago and I saw between 4 and 4.5 inches of rain across the southern part of Cumberland County. That's only been less than 2 hours. That's going to cause some concern. Heavy rain as well near Harriman, Rockwood, and then we're still watching this area of rotation in northwestern sections of McMinn County. But Margot, I would say Fentress County, you're probably in the clear from your severe threat at this point, as is at least the northern portions of Cumberland County. It would be areas to the east that still are under that severe threat.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Bo Williams is here working very, very hard trying to get some reports for us, and he did send in that Cumberland County dispatch is reporting numerous trees down as well as flooded roadways. So even if there's not a tornado-warned storm in your area, those winds are very, very gusty, and we're also seeing very, very heavy amounts of rain, so it's best to remain weather aware. But again, we are still monitoring all those warnings out there, and again, this is kind of the one that I'm watching very closely, the one that's heading on into McMinn County. As you can see, this system is kind of moving pretty quickly. I'm going to move this map over just so that way we can get a good visual of the areas that are going to be affected next up. Next up would be Collins Mill around 9:45. Then we have E.K. Baker Elementary School closer towards Barton Mill around 9:49, and this warning is lasting until around 10 o'clock Eastern time. So we have here about close to 30 more minutes left with this warning as it makes its way into McMinn County. So it's about to kind of go over the county line there and eventually kind of move closer towards I-75. So if you are in McMinn County, kind of closer towards the Ray and Meigs County lines there, just go ahead, get into your safe place. This is the only area that we're seeing seeing kind of more definite rotation, looking at our storm relative velocity, where we see kind of that rotation coming from the radar there. We kind of see it kind of closer towards the Decatur community, even closer towards Collins Mills. So anywhere along the McMinn kind of border there near I-75, make sure you're getting to your safe zone. But this isn't the only storm that we're watching. Again, we're watching just north of us, kind of closer towards Rockwood, even near Dogwood. We still have that tornado warned storm in the southern half of Cumberland County, at least for the next 10 minutes. Same for the tornado warned storm moving through Morgan and Roane counties for the next 10 minutes. But it does look like they're extending those warnings into a severe thunderstorm warning with what we call a tornado tag. So there's a lot going on, and kind of looking at our reflectivity and zooming out fully so we can get the big picture. That back line that we were talking about maybe an hour ago has finally caught up with most of these initial storms, those kind of single-celled storms that were on their own, causing that rotation. And now we're kind of dealing with a damaging wind gust threat up to that 60-mile-an-hour range or greater, hail, and the really big threat is flooding. Getting multiple reports throughout this evening of flooding that has already occurred or is occurring. So again, best to remain weather aware, and we are urging you to stay in your safe place, stay at your homes. Don't go out looking for these storms. You won't be able to see them. It's nighttime. But again, we are expecting to see flooding. So if you have to be anywhere early tomorrow morning and there's still flooding occurring in your area, make sure you're taking it slow on the roadways and paying very close attention. But we're seeing a lot kind of happening. That back line's finally catching up to that front line. Still keeping a very close eye on that storm kind of moving through McMinn County, heading towards Madisonville. Eventually it will head towards Loudoun as well. But we do have the generator on, as we have heard lightning here closer to the downtown area from that storm system that's moving through Roane County along I-40, about to meet up at the I-40, I-75 split. Ken?
Yeah, Margot, still got the camera pulled up downtown Knoxville. That's over top of Embassy Suites Hotel. We're looking back towards the west and seeing a lot of lightning off in the distance. We don't have rain in the area yet, but we are under that severe thunderstorm warning. You see that flash of lightning going off there, so you'll hear it right there on our rooftop. So pretty quick there. Now, I will say this storm I've been watching that's right there in the northern sections of McMinn County, northwest McMinn, still showing some rotation, but I think what is going to eventually happen here is that's going to get caught up with this line that's moving through, and it may disrupt just a little bit the circulation with it. I won't say yet it hasn't, but that should be the trend over about the next 15 to 20 minutes. But still, the tornado warning continues basically from Fikton northward to Collins Mill. That's McMinn County till 10 o'clock. That's going to be at least another 23 minutes or so. So here are some of the areas we're talking about. Tranquility at 9:43, E.K. Baker Elementary at 9:44, Suey around 9:46, and Bogus Crossroad around 9:47. And that's still moving northeast at about 38 miles per hour. So we're getting close to that I-75 corridor that's running south. So you can kind of see maybe a little bit of an inflow notch right through here still. So I'd say if anything, you probably have a slowly rotating what we call wall cloud across the area. You can see all the TDOT SmartWay cameras here, as well as our sky camera that's in downtown Knoxville and also into Cumberland County. It looks like they're at the top of the screen as well. So we will keep that up as well. Let's go a little further north. Let's talk about this storm that's making its way, at least some heavy rainfall into Anderson County right now. It looks like the another couple of minutes for the tornado warning. I imagine, Margot, I'm going to let you check to see if they're going to let that expire. I would imagine they would, and probably replace it with a severe thunderstorm warning. We'll see. But for eastern sections of Roane, southern half of Anderson, and the majority of the western half of Knox County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 10:30, and it's with this area that's moving to the east. So here are some communities: ORNL 947, Robertsville 953, downtown Oak Ridge at 953, the Y12 complex at 953, Highland View School at 954. Maybe some 1/4 to 3/4 inch size hail with this, which is going to be probably dime size to penny size. That's possible. More of a threat's going to be the winds and potential tornado, obviously, the rotation that we've seen with this storm making its way through. I'm not seeing the tight rotation like earlier, but there's at least some indication that we could be seeing some. But the lighter pink shading you're seeing there, those are winds getting closer to that 50-mile-per-hour range. So even if there's not a tornado, 50-plus mile-per-hour winds can easily do some damage. That can bring trees down. That can bring power lines down. In fact, let's take a look. I wanted to quickly just see what kind of power outage maps that we have, showing 800 in Knox, 1,500 Fentress, up to 1,000 now in Cumberland, 100 there in Bledsoe. 1,500 from green is from the earlier line of storms. So I would imagine we will see these go up. Morgan, Roane County, probably Ray, Meigs County as well as we go over probably the next hour as these lines continue to move east. But as of right now, we have still that tornado warning goes until 9:45 for portions of Roane County, and then they've extended it to a severe thunderstorm warning areas to the east with the potential for a tornado. Basically what that means is we're going to most likely see winds 50-plus miles per hour, maybe closer to 60, but we'll have to watch because as we've seen with that cell, it has the potential to spin up and possibly cause a tornado. Margot, any other update that you've seen? And again, we need to watch this area to the north, just the line of thunderstorms that's making its way through Scott County, Morgan County. That line all the way up through McCreary, Whitley County border of Kentucky, that could have some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. So Campbell County, Anderson County, you're next with that line of storms coming through.
No update really just yet from at least the National Weather Service, but
Okay.
I'm keeping a very close eye, especially between Morgan and Scott County and then McCreary County, Kentucky. If you take a look kind of at that storm relative velocity there, you can see those winds are trying to really kind of increase heading on into the rest of East Tennessee. So you're probably seeing some, or probably hearing some gusty winds outside actually in those communities, but we're going to watch everything very closely. I'm waiting for the National Weather Service to kind of get back to me on the warnings that we have present, what kind of looks like, what it looks like for the rest of the evening, but just know that north of Roane County, north of Knox County, we have a whole line of severe thunderstorm warned storms. Those have the capability of producing 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, as well as hail, and again, heavy rainfall that can lead to flooding. Already getting reports out of Cumberland County where we're already seeing the back half of this storm moving on through. Reports in Cumberland County of roads impassable because of flooded roadways. Ken?
Hey, Margo, one good thing is talking here with the Weather Service out of Nashville, the warning, the tornado warning, which goes for another 3 minutes there in Cumberland County, they're going to let it expire. You can see there is some rotation with it, but it's very broad. It's not tight together, meaning if anything, it's probably a slow rotating type system. It's not closely and tight rotating. So they said they're going to let that expire coming up here in the next 3 minutes. So that is good news. I imagine the same thing in Bledsoe as well. Yes.
Can they cancel the tornado warning in Meigs, Ray, and McMinn counties?
Okay, so areas to the south, they kind of let that go now to a severe thunderstorm warning, which that one, let's see what that goes until. That's going to be till 10:30. So that has been replaced by a severe thunderstorm warning. Margo, check on that to see if it does have one of those tornado tags.
It does not have a tor tag.
Okay, so again, if it does not have a tornado tag with it, that's something they put usually at the end of the warning that kind of gives us a heads up that says, all right, this has the potential to produce some damaging wind gusts greater than 58 miles per hour, but also could produce a tornado. Doesn't matter, right? 58 plus mile per hour winds can easily do as much damage, especially over a wider scale. So if you're under a warning, you need to make sure you're seeking shelter from that. So my guess is, I'm guessing they're going to let these warnings expire, the tornado warnings here coming up at 9:45, but the severe thunderstorm warning is going to continue until 10:30 for here in Anderson, southern Anderson, Knox, northern Loudoun counties, and the warning goes until 10:15 to the north. That is a big chunk of wind if that is actually valid. Let me just...
I think that's a gap.
I think it must be a gap.
It's a gap.
Okay. That's just the warning that's showing up then, isn't it? Yes. Okay, just wanted to double check. That would have been some extremely strong winds. So that is just a gap in the rain from the radar. But notice how this is kind of bowing out a little bit, so we could be easily seeing some very, very strong winds there. Heads up Dean, Fairview School, as you go crossing now over from Scott County into Campbell County. There's I-75 going up towards Jellicoe into southeast Kentucky. So that whole line is going to be pushing eastward. And kind of what we talked about, this line looks like it's catching up with these individual cells and it's just merging. It disrupts the flow of a spinning motion of the storms. If you think about a top that's spinning on a table, if you blow on it, right, you can push it easily. Same kind of thing happens, or if you put your hand on the top of it, you're going to slow the rotation or the spin with that top. Same thing happens in the atmosphere with these lines that come through. Looks like they did drop the tornado warnings.
So they said that for Morgan and Roan, they're going to let it expire if the trend remains. And then from the McMinn storm, it still has some rotation and looks like it's maybe cycling back up. So going to keep our eyes on that.
Yeah, that one, you said it did not have a tour tag on it, but I will say I noticed the same thing. We're at least seeing the possibility of that thing kind of undergoing a transition, let's just say that. So it's right on the McMinn and Monroe County border. So here are some areas. Nyota, right around 954, Reagan and 957, and Riddle's Store at 958. So this thing is really close to I-75. There's going to be some hail going right across I-75 right now with that cell. So just to the west of Nyota and Acme Mill, you're about to pick up some hail. It may be a little smaller in size, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's maybe about a 25-cent piece, maybe a quarter, so 1 inch in diameter or greater. And that system has had a history, as you can see, over the past hour of producing hail, so that makes sense. Now, a little further to the north, what we'll see, this storm may not be producing the hail like it was earlier, which is good to see, but there is still the potential of some really strong winds about to come through. That's Roane County, southern Anderson, and western Knox County. So that line, it's moving right along Interstate 40, moving quickly, but this warning goes again until 10:30. So Y12, 10:01, American Museum of Science and Energy at 10:03, Scarborough at 10:04, Fox Den, that's at 10:07, and Emory Heights at 10:07. So and the Hardin Valley Academy at 10:06. So we're transitioning that line again right on the Anderson-Knox County border as that moves to the east. So we're watching that storm southward, and we're still watching this entire line of storms making its way basically right through Scott County as we speak. Some pretty strong winds with that making its way. In fact, we can take a look right where you see the lighter blue. Those are going to be winds getting close to 60 miles per hour in the Huntsville area, Scott County, a little further to the south. Again, maybe we're talking elevation-wise, we're about 4,000 feet up, but still we could be seeing some of those get close to the ground, and that's what prompted the severe thunderstorm warning there. That's about to make its way into Campbell County. It's going to move quickly through the area, and I would say at this point, the way it looks, areas to the west, what is that new severe thunderstorm warning that just came out, Margot? That's going to be in Kentucky. Yeah,
it's in Kentucky. I also do want to point out, Ken, I was taking a look at rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, just to point out that this system not only is having those gustier winds like you're saying, but it also has the capability of producing a lot of rain. So in this far southwestern half, if we could take my screen full real quick, guys, just that way people can see where I'm pointing at. Looking at the southwestern half of Cumberland County, up to potentially 4 inches. Now, this isn't total, and this also is not exact, but there is potential to see up to 4 inches in that area. So like I said, there was a report coming out of Cumberland County of an impassable road. Other areas seeing close to 1.5 inches, kind of in Morgan County, close to 1.25 inches, kind of in Scott County already. And these areas have been run over multiple times, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning kind of in Kentucky. So let's take a look at that. We'll go to our our radar right here, reflectivity, clear out everything, take a zoomed out look, kind of going a little further up. So it looks like, Ken, they're extending into Knox County, Kentucky, and this severe thunderstorm warning is lasting until 10:15. So they're just warning where you see this red, where we're seeing the quicker winds ahead of that line, and they're being proactive about it, which that's typically what we'd see with these lined storms, with these linear storms kind of moving on through. So I'm going to send it back over to Ken because I saw a really cool lightning show on the camera.
It's getting very active now as we're looking from downtown Knoxville westward on our Embassy Suites hotel camera. Put it in perspective, there's the sun sphere here on the left-hand side of your screen. Ellen and STEM Academy is right through here. There's one of those lightning bolts right through there. So yeah, very active storm system that's just about to make its way into Knox County, and that's what has prompted the severe thunderstorm warning for this area. What do we have there? What traffic cam is this? Our TDOT SmartWay camera? That's going to be Pellissippi Parkway. I'm guessing.
Looks like it's heading towards Hardin Valley.
Is that Mabry Hood? Yeah. Okay, Pellissippi near Mabry Hood. So a lot of lightning there. It looks like the rain hasn't quite made it into that area yet. Probably getting very, very close to that area. All right, here's an update again with the power outages. So Knox up to 800, the Greene County 900, that's from the earlier cell that went through. That was the warning, the tornado warning storm that went through Morgan, Anderson, Knox, and then eventually up through Greene County. That storm has moved out. Now we're talking about the wind, line of wind moving through that produced the 1,000 and 2,000 for Cumberland and Fentress County. So let's get another update on this storm making its way into Knox County. We were looking from our camera westward, pretty close to Y12 and OR&L complex right now. Hardin Valley, the complex there of Elementary, Middle, and Academy, all at 10:05. Scarborough right about 10:02, and Solway at 10:06 as that moves east. Again, I'm not seeing the tight rotation like we had earlier, which is great, but still seeing some very gusty winds potentially with this. Anywhere where you see this light blue, so right along I-40, getting close to Eaton Crossroads, that is going to be some really, really strong winds. Margot, I don't know if you want to call up one of those cameras there on TDOT. We'll come back and check you with that in just a minute. But the light blue are going to be winds getting close to 60 miles per hour there on the Loudoun County border with Roane County, Anderson, and Knox. So that Quad County area where it comes together, maybe easily some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, which has prompted the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, by definition, 58 mile per hour winds or greater, 1 inch in diameter hail or greater, and that is what we're seeing. Upstairs, can you tell me what camera that TDOT camera is over there to my left? I-40 at Campbell Station.
Hey,
so that's
Ken, you might want to take a look at the camera I have pulled up.
Okay, I don't know if we can take the other
just real
computer
quick.
there.
It's I-40 mile marker 363. You can see the rain moving on through, the winds kind of shaking. I also do want to point out there's penny-sized hail being reported in Nyota. So that's where we were seeing that other rotating storm in the Southern Valley. So kind of just be aware of that. We do have that penny-sized hail, but this is one of our SmartWay cameras from TDOT. This is along I-40 mile marker 363.9. You can see that the wind is blowing. You can also see some traffic kind of building up, and I'm assuming it's because this road is probably, yes, Ken?
Yeah, if you want to come back to me, you're looking at that same camera I think I am. There's a wreck there off to the side, or at least a truck that's stalled there. But look at the heavy sheets of rain that are just moving through that area right now. And that's back before the split. So that's there into right on the Roane and Loudoun and Anderson County borders there that we're talking about, that we're seeing that slowdown there. And it was just the sheets of rain that we were seeing on the interstate there. You can just see the sheets of rain coming in from that. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like maybe a semi truck over there. Bo, do you have an update on that?
That's what it looks like, is a semi. It's been sitting there for a little bit. But yeah, this weather coming through. Matter of fact, since you've got that up, Ken, really from about that area all the way to about Crab Orchard, TDOT right now, highlighting the interstate in yellow, meaning it's just tough driving conditions, and you can tell by looking how much water is on the roadways there. So again, just be careful. But yeah, that's it's quite the show that we're seeing. Good example of what they've been dealing with there.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. If you don't have to go out, don't. Okay, just stay inside until these pass by. But now the sheet of rainfall just now making its way through Anderson County and moving eastward. And again, we can take a look right here where you see these brighter blues right through there. So near the Hardin Valley Academy, South College, Farragut area, that's 162. So that's Oak Ridge Highway, Pellissippi rather, going up towards Oak Ridge Highway where they merge. So right there, that light blue, that's going to be winds gusting probably about 60 miles per hour. Probably seeing that back towards Eaton Crossroads area as well. So again, approaching Pellissippi Parkway, some really, really strong winds. That's what's prompted the severe thunderstorm warning, which now is ongoing for portions of Knox County. Look at the winds to the south as well, near Athens, that blue showing up. Again, elevation of the radar, we're pretty high up. We're getting close to 6,000 feet up in elevation, but still there is the potential. We're talking winds probably over 60 miles per hour, showing 75, but again, that's going to be a little bit higher up. But if those winds are coming down to the surface, then heads up Monroe County, Madisonville. You could be seeing winds at least 50, if not 60 plus miles per hour as that moves into your direction. But again, the radar beam height at that point, we're at about 6,000 feet in elevation. So just a little bit up there. Margot, you got something?
Just kind of want to take a zoomed out look to see the entire line, and also explain that, the reason why we're still staying on is because this entire line does have a severe thunderstorm warning associated with it. And also, like Ken mentioned, we're still keeping a very close eye closer towards McMinn and Monroe counties. But there's no more warnings kind of for the Middle Tennessee area. This includes Cumberland County and Fentress County. So that's some good news there. So if you're in Cumberland or Fentress County, you're good. You're fine for the night. There might be some rain. There are some flash flood warnings out in Middle Tennessee, and also probably some flash flood warnings closer towards Cumberland and Fentress County. And that's again going to be a trend as we move on into the rest of our night. But as for now, we're only seeing these severe thunderstorm warnings along this line where you're seeing those gustier winds, as well as where you're seeing all of that frequent lightning and that heavy rainfall, and we will continue to keep you updated on that. But notice it stretches from Sand Gap in Kentucky all the way to closer to Tellico Plains in McMinn County. So that's a big warned line there. But we're going to continue to watch everything and keep you updated. Just know winds could gust up to that 60-mile-an-hour range, and we're still going to keep a very close eye for some rotation. It looks like Ken is keeping an eye closer towards Madisonville.
Yeah, that's right on the border between McMinn and Monroe counties. I see it kind of cycling again back and forth, where it looks like it's trying to develop maybe some type of rotation, but then it struggles. There is definitely at least some what we call an inflow notch, or winds that are coming into this trying to wrap it up, but I think it's really struggling where it is. Now there is some hail, that's the brighter pink showing up there. So Madisonville, again, you're gonna get some pretty decent sized hail with this, but we also talked about the potential for some really strong winds. That purple showing up right there, winds getting close to 70 plus miles per hour, showing 81, but preface this, the radar beam height at that point is right at 5,900 feet, so close to 6,000 feet up. We're seeing winds gusting to 80 miles per hour. So can't say for certain that's coming down to the surface, but it's possible. It's possible you could be seeing some winds like that down to the surface. Now you can see it just updated the radar scan, so we can click on it again, and that brighter purple showing up, again, still maybe close to 80 mile per hour winds, even though that's a little bit higher up in elevation. I want to go back quickly and check to see if we're getting any of these counties cleared from the watch that we've had. It looks like Middle Tennessee's dropped the majority of their counties from the tornado watch, which was in place. And I thought, am I wrong, Margot, was Cock and Greene counties, were they?
Hey, Ken, they're going for a tornado warning for Knoxville.
For Knoxville?
Yes.
Okay, so Margot's saying that they are going to issue a tornado warning on this cell as it's coming towards Knoxville. So no doubt we'll be staying on the air here. It'll be with this cell. right here, going to be moving almost parallel to Interstate 40. Chad upstairs, I don't know if you can go ahead and now double box me with the West Knoxville camera, the TIS one, just so we can have that side by side just in case we happen to see it. Now it's nighttime, there's some heavy rain, unlikely we would be able to see it, but if there's a flash of lightning, we might see that. So that's what we're going to watch. Looks like they're going to do a tornado warning. They're saying this couplet right there between Oak Ridge and Farragut. So it's right where I'm looking, right where this blue is next to the red. So it's kind of broad, but enough to where it makes sense. They went ahead and warned on that. So we will continue to watch it. We'll see this warning will pop up soon. It'll change to red as of right now till 10:30. That's the severe thunderstorm warning. But any second now, we'll see it turn red. So if you were anywhere in the West Knoxville area to downtown, you need to make sure you're in your safe spot, okay? Sorry, there's your phones going off with the EAS alert, which is great, it's working. There's our tornado warning, so this goes until 10:45. It looks like it's gonna go all the way to the Carter community, so it's gonna extend all the way across the entire county. So there is our tornado warning. Again, we're right at 10 o'clock, top of the hour here. You're watching WATE, 6 on your side news, continuing coverage. Tornado warning just issued for Knox County, and it's gonna be basically the entire county the way they've got this drawn up. And this is gonna go until 10:45. So at minimum, we'll stay on the air for another 45 minutes. Now, is there a tornado? Definitely with this, we can't say. But rotation is showing up on this cell right through here. So I'm going to kind of clean it up and give you just an idea of our shear product. So right there, it looks like it's crossing the river, the lake area out there between Anderson and Knox County. So on the west side, we'd be getting very close to Pellissippi where it intersects with Oak Ridge Highway. So Scarborough, Hardin Valley, all the areas out there. Here are the listings. So Scarborough, 1004. Hardin Valley campuses, 1005 to 1006. Pellissippi State, the one out there in Hardin Valley, that's till 1007. Oak Ridge Estates till 1009. This is moving east now at 30. Notice the uptick right there in the maroon shadings. So it is showing a little bit more rotation at this point. Yeah, right through there. So right here, south of Scarborough would be where that rotation would be. So makes sense they went ahead and issued a tornado warning on that. Again, here are your communities. If you live in these, if you live anywhere near these, if you see your city, your school, anything in these areas within this drawn arrow, you need to be in your safe spot. Okay, so from South College to Hardin Valley, all the campuses, Ball Camp, Amherst Elementary, Carpenter's Ridge, Powell Elementary, Claxton as well. I'll go ahead and tell my wife as well to make sure you're in your safe spot, okay? This is getting a little too close to where my home is, so I want to make sure she is safe as well.
That's to say, Ken, I can take over. I called my husband.
It's okay. She's watching, so she's listening. She knows. She'll know what to do, so thank you. But again, this area right through here between Pellissippi, where it extends and meets up with portions of Oak Ridge Highway. So Ball Camp Elementary, Carnes Elementary, even Bearden, Bell Ridge, you need to make sure you're in your safe spot as this is going to continue moving pretty quickly at about 40 miles per hour off towards the east. I'm going to put a track on this because it looks like that one may have disappeared, but I just want to make sure we're paying attention. It's moving east at almost 40 miles per hour. So these are the areas again. Plum Creek, 1003, Carnes High, 1003. There's the Ball Camp community right about now. Trails end at 1004 and Belmont West at about 1005. So Margot, it looks like that's our circulation. That's our area of concern right through there. And you can see it just updated. So this one may be cycling as well as it's starting to move into the downtown Knoxville area, and kind of like what we've seen with the other cells that have been coming through. You're fighting an environment that already had storms go through. We're at 10 o'clock at night, so you may not have the environment or the energy for these storms to hold together or to strengthen like before, but they're fighting. They are definitely trying to hold together as these are moving to the east. So these are the areas, again, these are the communities we need to be paying attention to and make sure you are in your safe spot. Meadowbrook, right about now, there's Hidden Valley, 1005, Bonneville Estates, the same, Canby Hills at 1005, Hunting Hills West at 1005, Amherst Elementary at 1005 as well. So yeah, make sure my wife is in the safe space as this is moving pretty close to our home as we speak now. There's Toccoa, there's Dainty, there's Bearden. So we're getting close to the west side of 640 as well. I think we've got our camera up. The camera on my other side, on my left over here, that's downtown Knoxville looking westward. Again, the only way you'd be able to tell if this was actually a tornado is if it were illuminated by the lightning strikes. It's nighttime. We have heavy rainfall with this. Soon you'll be able to hear that on top of our studios. We will keep an eye on that as well. If we need to tell our people upstairs to get into a safe spot, we will do that. But again, this is what we call a rain-wrapped storm. You would not be able to see where there was a tornado or a funnel from this system as it's moving through because, again, of the very heavy rainfall and it's night. So there's our circulation, pretty tight right through there actually. So that area, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can get a better idea of what we're talking about.
And Ken, if you want, I have the level road. So this is along Pellissippi, kind of closer towards the Hardin Valley area where we're seeing that. This is on Pellissippi near level road. You can see the lightning. You can see the rain kind of going sideways there, impacting some cars. You see those cars have their hazards on. We are expecting to see this system have a lot of rain associated with it. Again, Ken showed you before, but I'll show you again. You can see all of this red, the purple there within this tornado warned storm, indicating those heavier showers associated with them. So again, we need you to be in your safe place. Like we mentioned before, I called my husband, told him to get down closer towards his safe place, just that way he was aware. But this is a tornado warning for Knox, Anderson, and even going closer towards Sevier County that lasts until about 10:45. And so this is going to affect next Amherst Elementary School, Lakewood, Bearden Elementary School, eventually us here in downtown Knoxville. And again, like Ken mentioned, we have a plan here in case we need to go into our safe place here. But if you're in between Farragut and Hardin Valley, even closer towards Edgemore near Pellissippi, kind of going closer towards Oak Ridge, Solway, Y12, go ahead and get into your safe place because, again, we are seeing some rotation there. While it may be broadening a little bit, we're still going to be on air until this warning is gone, and we're going to continue to keep you updated. But it does look like there is some winds kind of picking up near Alicia's Vineyard, Amherst Elementary School, Ball Camp Elementary School, Carnes High School, again, Solway, Spring Hill. Next up, Claxton Elementary School, Powell High School. This area, this was the same area that has already been moved over by a tornado warned storm earlier today.
Yeah, and just above the couplet that I'm looking at, which again is pretty close to Ball Camp Elementary, there's Amherst. We're seeing winds gusting maybe 60, 70 miles per hour. So at minimum, we're talking about the potential of some winds that could do damage over a wide swath of area. So I'm going to put another track on this just so to make sure we know where this storm is going. I'd say right now it looks like the best opportunity for rotation would be right near Carnes High School, maybe just east of that. But areas to the north of Camelot, there's Bell Ridge. So we're coming out of Anderson County. There's Claxton, the elementary school, 60, maybe 70 mile per hour winds there. But this would be our area of concern for rotation. So looks like this is Oak Ridge Highway. There's Pellissippi. There's I-40. So kind of in between those areas moving east. If you see your community, make sure you're in your safe spot. Really everybody that's anywhere just near 640 eastward, you need to be in your safe spot at this point, as this has the potential to produce a tornado moving eastward. Minimum, we're talking 50, maybe 60 mile per hour winds. Power could be going out soon in some of these areas as this storm moves through, but here are kind of the areas that we're focusing on immediately. West Forest at 10:09, Canby Hills 10:09, Fair Oaks at about 10:09 as well as this continues to move eastward. We've got top left up here, that's our Embassy Suites hotel camera downtown looking towards the west. And what is our T-Dot Smartway camera? 40 at Cedar Bluff. So that would be areas out here, about right through there where that storm would be. So the circulation is north of where that camera is, the one in the bottom left. The top left is looking right back into where that center of circulation would be. So if there is a tornado, the only way, again, you'd be able to see it is if it was illuminated by the lightning strikes that are showing up here across the area. Let me look again. We're still seeing our shear right through here, so it looks like it's very close to the Amherst Elementary area. as we speak between Ball Camp and Amherst Elementary. That's where our rotation would be if there's a tornado. That's kind of our area of concern. And it's moving pretty quickly. We're talking between 35 and 40 miles per hour, so you don't have a lot of time. We don't want you to wait. If you're impacted by this, areas to the east, you need to be in your safe spot as we speak. So there's the line right through here. Even the areas to the south, Pellissippi now going down towards the airport, you're going to see the potential right along that line, maybe some 50, 60 mile per hour winds, where our rotation would be still right through here, moving towards the east very quickly. It's moving at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So there's our area of concern right through here. Heads up Ridgedale, going to be in your area. Pleasant Ridge at 10:11, the elementary school, same time. Cherokee Ridge at 10:12, Deep Creek at 10:12 as well, as this continues to move east. So there's 640 loop, there's 75 going northward, 40 going west. So that's the area that we're impacting. So the west side of the 640 loop, that's where we'll be watching. Again, that's lightning strikes are getting very close to our area, but we've got our generator on. At this point, we're not in danger here at our studios. We are watching it carefully. We will take shelter if needed, but at this point, we want to focus on areas a little further to our west, as we are in the downtown Knoxville area. We're not in the west side of town. Margot, do you have an update on anything?
So it looks like they're chiseling back some of those severe thunderstorm warned storms, one in Scott County, one in Morgan County. So that's some good news there. But we still have that tornado warned storm in Knox County, Anderson County, even going into Sevier County until 10:45. So we have about 35 minutes left of that system. I'm also keeping a very close eye, Ken, on this same storm moving through Monroe County now, just close to Madisonville. It's going back and forth between kind of rotating and not rotating. So definitely something to keep our eyes on. And I know this area has already been run over by a lot of rain and it's already starting to connect with that line. But just because it's connecting with that line does not mean we're out of the woods just yet. So going back to that kind of closer towards the West Knox County storm, let me zoom in real quick. Again, we're watching that rotation that looks to be kind of closer towards Powell now, Amherst Elementary School, Claxton Elementary School. And again, you can see this bright kind of pink right there, the darker green. That's where we're seeing kind of the mix and rotating of the winds there. We will continue to watch everything, but taking a look at this skit kind of closer towards Claxton Elementary School. Next up would be closer towards Bull Run. And then you have Peak by 10:15, Treeville by 10:18, Washington Heights by 10:18 as well, Bell Ridge by 10:20, and Broad Acres, Lazy Acres by 10:20 as well. And again, this is that tornado warned storm back in West Knox County. And again, we are watching everything between this and the storm moving through Monroe County. Ken?
Yeah, Margo, I want you to take a look areas north up into Scott County, that line that's moving through there. Some really strong winds along that, but also maybe it looked like something was trying to develop along that line. We'll see. But all right, here's what we're talking about. There's our close, if we have a couplet, it's probably right over the Amherst Elementary area moving to the east. Powell Middle School, going to be seeing winds maybe gusting 50 plus miles per hour there and moving eastward. So this whole line still moving east at about 40 miles per hour. So again, you don't have a whole lot of time. You need to make sure you're in your safe spot now. Any of these areas, you should already be there. So it's already at Rivers Edge Christian Academy, Amherst 10:14, Northwest Middle at 10:14, and Pleasant Ridge Elementary at 10:14 as well, as this is moving to the east. So kind of a broader rotation, but if we have it, it's right through there. In fact, we can just kind of switch it over and see. Yeah, so it would be right through there. So moving east. There's 640, the outer loop between 40 and 75. So you're heading over towards the Western Avenue area, what we're talking about there, going out west, back towards the Carnes community. So right along Western Avenue is where some of that tighter rotation would be, which is eventually going to bring it down into the downtown area if it stays on this current path. So something to watch. So Cherokee Ridge, 10:14, Northwest Middle, same time, and Pleasant Ridge Elementary as well. Looks like they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning, I guess, to just replace all of this, Margo, or at least to coincide with all of this.
But there's talking about how the tornado, they're talking about how the tornado watch remains in effect until 2
warning.
o'clock here.
Oh, the watch. Okay.
Yeah, the watch remains until 2 o'clock in the morning here, but there
Okay.
is not a tornado tag. So there's some good news there.
Okay, for the warning that's about to be issued, you're
Yes,
saying?
correct.
Okay, but the watch, the tornado watch, continues until 2 a.m. I
Yes.
would imagine areas to the west, like Cumberland and Fentress, they will probably drop your severe threat pretty quickly. But notice this cell as well, developing again back into Roane County. So not only do we have the potential for some really strong winds with this, but could be some hail and flooding because it's moving over the same areas. But as of right now, the one we want to keep an eye on, let's take a look. Yes.
So looks like Ken, kind of closer towards Madisonville, they're no longer going to extend that severe thunderstorm warning. It's actually now going to be a special weather statement.
Okay, so down near the Madisonville area, there's still
Yes.
some gusty winds, as you can see the brighter blue showing up, but again, a little bit higher elevation there compared to earlier. Looks like they're letting the severe thunderstorm warnings expire a little further to the west now. So I think Roane County has been cleared for now, but we want to watch that cell that was redeveloping back there, right there south of Kingston. That just has a special weather statement on it right now. Notice the warning getting trimmed back a little skinnier. It's gone now. So Campbell County westward, you are clear, but we're still watching this tornado warning warned storm coming into downtown Knoxville. In fact, it's getting pretty close to the 640 loop. Excuse me, we can hear some of the heavier rainfall on top of our roof. I don't see the really tight rotation, but there's at least some broad rotation still right down Western Avenue. Again, getting pretty close to the 640 exit of Western Avenue, so that needs to be watched. I would say if you're back towards the Ball Camp, Hardin Valley area, the worst of that severe storm is over with, has moved through your area, but let's wait just a little bit longer because I want to see what that storm's going to do. I think it's going to stay south of 40, but I would say Oak Ridge, Oliver Springs, at this point, you're okay. West Knox County, let's wait a little bit longer, but this batch that's coming through Knoxville right now, that still has the potential for some very gusty winds, possibility of some rotation. It's a lot more broad compared to what it looked like earlier. It's not that tight couplet, but if we have it, it's right there pretty close to Western Avenue and 640 as this is moving eastward. And there it is. That would be the...
You might want to move the camera a little bit, the Embassy Suites camera, if you get the chance.
Okay.
A little bit north. Just
Okay.
that way we can see it better.
All right, I'll let you take over here for just a second, Margot, and I'll do that. I'll adjust that camera real
so we're
quick.
watching where we're seeing these kind of gustier winds, kind of closer towards the Bell Ridge community, Adrian and Burnett's Elementary School, Bona Vista Estates, Cedar Grove, and again, this is in the Knox County community, even the Anderson County community. So we're going to watch everything very closely. But if you're in that area that I just mentioned, go ahead and get into your safe place. Next up would be Central High School, Alice Bell Elementary School, Austin East High School, Gibbs Elementary School, and closer towards Graveston. So again, this is where we're seeing those winds. If you're in the Hardin Valley area, the Solway area, Oak Ridge, and Y12, you're good to possibly go back to bed, but make sure you have your weather notifications still on. The worst of this storm is out of that area. We should probably see them trim back this warning here soon. But again, we're watching right here just north of Amherst Elementary School near Bell Ridge, where we're seeing those kind of gustier winds, and we will continue to watch everything very, very closely. But again, we're watching those winds, we're watching the heavy rain, and again, it's nighttime, so you're gonna have a hard time seeing this, and this tornado warning does last until 10:45 tonight. Ken?
Yeah, Margaret, we'll just take a look again. TDOT SmartWay cameras. This is I-640 in Western. So if there's that circulation we were watching, it would be very close to this area. You can see some of the wires bouncing up and down here. Hard to see with all the heavy rainfall that we have coming through there. Let's go on around a little bit further. We'll go up towards I-75. So this is going to be just north of the 640 area. Same thing, some very heavy rainfall ponding on the interstate there, obviously. And of course, there is a lot of lightning showing up. Let's go a little further south. So this is just west of the 275 area on I-40, or I-640 rather. So it's that as you're coming around almost to that exit of 75, 275 going towards the north. And look at all the ponding that we have on the roads there. Very, very heavy rainfall. But again, go back quickly. I want to just take a look. Are we seeing that rotation like we were earlier? This is downtown. Rain's hitting our roof. You'll be able to hear it on our microphones here very soon. But I'm not seeing that tight rotation like earlier, but still seeing some. And it would be right through there. You can see between the Powell High School area to Pleasant Ridge Elementary and moving eastward. So we're talking about Fulton High School pretty close to right about now. Maynardville Elementary at about right about now as well. Fountain City 1020 and North Knoxville at 1020 as well. So again, right here in our area as we speak at this timing. I want to just look at the radar. Very heavy rainfall. Excuse me, if we have circulation, it's probably a little bit further west of that. I'd say it's a little more broad compared to where it was earlier. Back towards the west, the only active warnings we have at this point are going to be a little further to the north. This is what I was talking about coming out of Campbell County rather into Claiborne County. That's some really, really strong winds. Quickly, I'm going to put a track on this. So Claiborne County, you're paying attention to this as well. Heads up Powell Valley at 1028, Bryson Mountain 1028, Yoakum Crossroad at 1030. You could be seeing easily some 50 to maybe 60 mile per hour winds with that as it's moving through. You can kind of see how it's bowing out. All right, let's go a little bit further south. Going to focus again on the tornado-warned storm that's making its way through downtown Knoxville. Maybe not seeing quite the tight rotation as we were earlier, which is good, but I don't want to let our guard down. Still, the potential, at minimum, some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds with this coming through. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put just a track on this entire line so we can see that coming through. So right through here. Going to give us a bunch of different areas here. So Caswell right about now, Mule Hollow right about now, Lake Forest as well. So what I'm going to do is we're going to find some a little bit bigger community. So there's Eagleton Middle School 1023, East Knox Elementary 1025, Carter at 1029 as this moves to the east. So you're kind of getting your heads up as this whole line is moving east. So there is the potential at least of some rotation with some of this, but at minimum, you're going to be seeing some very gusty winds, maybe 50 plus miles per hour. That's why the severe thunderstorm warning was posted, and then they saw some rotation earlier when it was back further to the west as this is moving eastward. I'd say at this point again, Oak Ridge, if you're in Oak Ridge westward, you're doing okay. Oliver Springs, Oakdale, I'm still watching this storm that's south of Kingston. A little bit of a bow on that segment as well. What I mean by that is the potential for some really strong winds. That's going to be making its way over towards the Loudon area. I don't think they are under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. They're just under a special weather statement, but we need to watch for that as that moves to the east. But at this point, Margot, any update from the Weather Service on this warning that we've been watching here going through the downtown Knoxville area?
Nothing as of yet. They're trying to get some confirmation about some stuff associated with this warning, but we still have this warning in place until 10:45, so we have about 20 minutes left on this warning, and then they did expire the severe thunderstorm warning in Monroe County. It looks like they're continuing the tornado warning for Knox, Anderson, and Sevier County until 10:45. So we are still on until 10:45 with this tornado warning. So they're continuing with that. Okay,
just getting an update as what they are talking about. Okay, so they're seeing kind of the same thing I am. That if anything, the rotation is pretty broad. We're not seeing tight circulation, but there's enough that has still continued basically the threat for this tornado warning. Again, you can hear that very heavy rainfall over our studios. I will say right through here, that's going to be some gusty winds now pushing off to the east. I wouldn't be surprised if portions of Sevier County get extended into at least a severe thunderstorm warning as this line is coming through. There's Market Square. Is that what you said we have up? Okay, that's the Market Square camera. I can't even tell it's raining so hard with that area there now. Okay, I'm just reading something here coming in from the Weather Service. So just an update again, like Margot said, they're going to continue at least for another 20 minutes, this tornado warned storm that's making its way through downtown Knoxville. Again, I don't see tight rotation, which is great. But there's very broad rotation with this, especially a little further north, up along the 640 area, up into the Halls community. So right through there. Let me quickly just put a track on this so we can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about right through here. And then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So right through there, anybody in that area, again, has this potential to see a possibly tornado. You just need to make sure you're in your safe spot. So there's our WATE studios. I think it's just north of us, moving east along the I-640 corridor. Margot, maybe focus in on some of those cameras, I-640, getting over towards where the old Easttown Mall was. We'll keep an eye on that. But here again, these areas. So Rita, right around 1026. Freedom Christian Academy 1027, Holston Middle 1027, East Knox Elementary 1033, and Carter at 1034 if it stays on this track. Again, that rotation would be pretty close to downtown Knoxville, northward up through the Halls High School area and up towards Gibbs as well. Areas to the south, we're mainly talking about the potential for some really gusty winds. I'm not seeing rotation, which is great, but there are going to be the potential for some really strong winds, areas to the south. And again, it's right where this line is kind of bowing out and moving to the southeast, but we're focused right here back through this part of the cell. Hard to see. Again, it's raining really heavily, so you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. But right now, about the Rita area, Holston Middle 1027, Three Ridges Golf Course, they're in North Knox County about 1029, and Carter at 1034 if it stays on the current path the way this is going. Yeah.
Talk about the traffic and show some of those cameras on TDOT for
All right,
us.
Bo, what you got?
Yeah, you were talking about 640 over near the old mall area now, over near the Amazon distribution center. This is a live look TDOT SmartWay camera. This is I-640 over near Millertown right now. Tough to see because there's not a lot of traffic, which is a good thing, but there are just waves of rain coming through here, making its way. There goes a couple vehicles. But yeah, heavy rain coming down in this area. You saw a couple flashes of light there. Let me pull up another camera here for you. This is not far from that same area. This is going to be west of Millertown. Again, same situation. So Ken, as you've been talking, just that heavy rain coming down. Well, it sounds like it's not as heavy as it was a few moments ago here at our station, or at least it's giving us a short break. But again, you can still see this kind of gives you an idea of what it's like now. This is northeast of the downtown areas. You've been tracking that storm, you and Margot, kind of showing us where this is going. But I kind of wanted to walk you through some of the areas here that you've been talking about. As again, we'll take one more. This is not far from the interchange there with I-40, and it is really coming down. Tough to see there. You see a couple of trucks going through, but you can just tell by the amount of water, and you can see just the rain coming down in front of that camera lens. It is really pouring out there. Again, this is northeast of town that you guys have been talking about. Back over to you, man.
Yeah, so again, it's not quite as tight as it was earlier, the tight rotation we were seeing, which prompted the warning, but we're still seeing at least some areas along this line that potential is there. So I see why they're letting this tornado warning go a little bit longer. Right now, it's pretty close to Central High School, down through Alice Bell, Berean Christian Academy as well. That's moving, again, like Bo mentioned, close to where the old Easttown Mall is, the Amazon facility that's over there, Millertown Pike 640, kind of going around the 640 corridor on the outer edge there. That's where we're talking about. So right of Central High School, and then notice areas stretching further to the south. So we're getting into portions of Sevier County now as that's moving to the east. That is worth watching as well. It could be close to getting into Sevier County. I'll say not quite yet, but it's close. You can see kind of right on the border here. There's Sevier County right through here. This is Blount County, so it's getting close to the Blount blunt, severe, and Knox County border as this is moving to the east. But at minimum, we're going to be seeing winds gusting maybe 50 miles per hour there. We're still seeing some, at least broad rotation areas back towards the north and west along this area. Another update coming in. Margot, is that a new severe thunderstorm warning? It looks like it's going to go until for Knox.
So they have a severe thunderstorm warning that's lasting until it's 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, penny-sized hail. This is lasting closer towards, 1 second, I'll let you talk and then
that's going to go till
I'll interrupt you.
11:30. So
Yes.
it's an hour, this whole line that's making its way east. So they basically just took this whole line of storms that we're seeing right through here, and they're extending it north and eastward. So Jefferson County, Sevier County, even into Cott County, Granger, Hamblin County. This is going to go until 11:30 this warning. So they're still watching that whole line pushing east like we talked about. This is going to turn more into a damaging wind threat, but in the short term, we still have this tornado warning going at least for another 15 minutes. I've not seen an update of whether or not they're going to release that.
Hey, Ken.
Yes.
Do you want to turn it over to Bo? There is a big wreck on 40 because of this weather.
Sure. Bo, if you've got the update, what you got?
Yeah, exactly, Ken. I don't want to take too much of your time there, but just want to show everybody real quick. This is coming in. This is I-40 eastbound near Weisgarber. Just about all lanes right now at a standstill. I want to bring in another camera here real quick. Again, this is I-40 eastbound. This is the camera at Wesley Road, so between Paper Mill and 640 area. But again, you can see traffic right now coming to a standstill. Thankfully, not a lot of people out on the roads, but again, just kind of reinforces the fact just how dangerous this is out there right now. You don't need to be out in it. But again, you can just see right now more emergency vehicles arriving. Looks like maybe even a TDOT assistant truck there helping out as well. But this is I-40 eastbound right there, not far from 640, kind of between Paper Mill and 640. All right, Ken, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Bo. Again, just checked with the Weather Service what they're going to do here coming up in the next 15 minutes. What they decided, they will let this tornado warning expire, and that's why they just extended a severe thunderstorm warning areas to the east. They're not seeing quite the tight rotation as earlier, but still they're keeping an eye on it. And it's this area kind of right through here now. So it looks like it's shifted a little further to the south and east, that area that would have at least the potential for some rotation. So let's put a track on that area kind of right through here. And I'm going to switch it back through right there. So that's the area we're watching moving eastward right through here, pretty close to AE, Austin East. Probably just to the east of you guys, but Carter Elementary coming up at 10:35, the city itself at 10:37, Middle and High at about 10:37, and Midway at 10:38 as well. Looks like they canceled areas to the west.
They canceled Campbell and Anderson, so that makes sense because the heavy rain, the gusty winds are out in front of there now, heading towards Union County.
So they just dropped all those warnings to the north. So Anderson, Campbell, Morgan, you're kind of free and clear from your severe threat, but still could be some heavy rainfall, maybe some lightning and some isolated flooding. But if you're not illuminated, your counties, you're okay. Areas to the north still could be some pretty gusty winds making their way through Claiborne County, also into Union County, pretty close to Norris Lake. And then areas to the south, still seeing some of that rotation. It may be broad, but this is it right here, kind of moving now east along I-40. So it's on the 640 side where it comes to I-40 on the east side of town, moving eastward. So Carter, Midway, it's heading kind of towards your area. Let's get in your safe spot and stay there at minimum. We're talking about winds could be 60 miles per hour with some of these storms as they're kind of moving through the area. Where was that new severe thunderstorm warning for Anderson, Campbell? Oh, they canceled that one, yes. So that was the one we just talked about. Sorry, we're getting alerts all over the place. I just want to make sure we're staying on top of things.
And they're continuing the Claiborne, Knox, Union, and Granger. They're continuing that thunderstorm warning. Sorry,
Okay, so
my bad.
so the northern sections of this one is what she's talking about. There's Claiborne County, Union, also over into Granger County. So heading over, heads up Bean Station, kind of heading your way soon. We're still seeing at least some of that rotation, not much, but some, through portions of Knox County. I'd say it's probably not nearly what it was earlier, but something that we still need to keep an eye on at least here in the next little bit. That warning will expire here in a couple of minutes. Areas to the north, that's the one I was talking about. I really think there's going to be some strong winds possible with that one moving east. So let me just put a track on that one real quick as well, going through Claiborne County, the potential for some damaging winds. So we're talking about Combs 1036, Harrogate 1036, Patterson's Crossroads 1037, Lily Grove at 1039 as that continues to move east. And what I'll do is I'm going to switch it up just a little bit further downstream here. So TNT, the primary school, 1050, Claiborne High School, that's at 1051, Springdale at 1057. So Walter State 1049 as well as that moves off to the east. Could easily be some 50+ mile per hour wind gusts with that. And notice areas south as well into Union County. We're seeing those really gusty winds. That's kind of what the backwards letter C we always talk about. Looks like you're getting those really strong winds, and we're seeing that going through Union County as well. So Luttrell to Maynardville, through Blaine as well. I'd say areas west, if you're in Oak Ridge, Norris, up through Campbell County, at this point you're free and clear from your severe threat, which is great news. But areas to the east we still need to keep an eye on. Not seeing quite that rotation like we were earlier, thankfully, but still just something we need to keep an eye on. Areas on the east side of Knox County, right there maybe near Riverdale and moving eastward. Margot, you got an update as well?
Just kind of taking a look at where we're still seeing the kind of severe potential. Like we mentioned before, still keeping a very close eye on this tornado warning storm in Knox County, even moving forward, even though it does turn into a severe thunderstorm warning. You can just see how gusty the winds are. This is an area that actually has not yet been run over by showers and storms, so they still do have that potential kind of closer toward New Tazewell, Maynardville, Middlesboro. We're going to watch everything there, but this is kind of the only area that we're seeing these warnings coming from. Taking a zoomed out look further, yes, there is some wind kind of occurring closer towards Madisonville. This is about to move through Blount County and then move on into North Carolina. The main thing that I'm keeping track of is our rain. Our rain has been very, very heavy. You've heard it on the roof here. You also have probably seen it on the roadways from the cameras that we've been showing you all night. And even though we're seeing the stronger storms kind of closer towards the northern Knox County and north, back closer towards Loudoun along 40 near the 75-40 split there in Roane and Loudoun counties, there's still heavy rain. And so flooding is going to continue to be an issue whether you're under a severe thunderstorm warning or not. So we need to make sure you're having your weather notifications turned on. And also, if you're planning on driving early tomorrow morning before the sun rises, make sure you are paying attention, going slow, have a plan in case one of your roadways that you take is flooded, because remember, turn around, don't drown. But again, right now still have that tornado warning storm that expires here in the next 10 minutes, and that is being replaced by a severe thunderstorm warned storm, and it's because of those winds, and we'll keep up with that rotation. And then also we're keeping up with the severe thunderstorm warnings that are occurring in southeast Kentucky and the northern half of our viewing area. Ken?
Yeah, Margot, I'm still keeping an eye on some of the storms that are to the north up into Claiborne County. Been talking about this earlier. Again, the backwards letter C, indicative usually of very strong winds. So heads up Harrogate to Tazewell. It's going to be heading your way. 1052 in the Tazewell area. TNT as well. Hancock Elementary at 1113. Sneedville 1113. If it stays on this path, moving over to Hancock County. But I've seen this kind of hold together for a while now. Could be some very strong winds with that as it's moving to the east. Again, doesn't look quite as scary just by looking at what we call the reflectivity, or what you normally see as the radar product. But once you look inside, we're seeing those really strong winds showing up with that. And again, that's what has prompted the severe thunderstorm warning. If we kind of take a look inside this, what kind of winds we're seeing, there's 45, 50 mile per hour winds certainly possible with this as it's moving east. So stay in your safe area, Claiborne County. Also here into Union County, kind of make sure you're in your safe spot as well, right through here, kind of the east side of Union County as this continues to move east as well. So there's Zacharytown at 1038, Blaine at 1039 as well, Joppa 1043, New Corinth at 1044. That's going to be a threat for damaging winds. The tornado warning still ongoing for this point If we had circulation, it'd probably be pretty close to right through here. So this track is going to cover that for you. Union Valley at 1039, Boyd's Creek 1043, Kodak 1049. That's going to put it into northern sections here of Sevier County. So what they will do most likely is they're going to let this expire coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Looks like they're keeping the tornado watch. Margaret, I'm going to let you check on that to see if any counties have been dropped from that. We'll check with her in just a minute. But this area here near Boyd's Creek, you need to still be in your safe spot, please, at minimum. The severe thunderstorm warning. We talked about the winds very gusty, maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour. And we'll have to see as well if we've got any updates to power outages across the area as well. I'll do that real quick.
And Ken, I also want to bring your attention to the line in Harlan County, maybe some pretty quick winds.
Okay, I'll check that here in just a second. Look at the power outages, 4,000 Loudon, 1,000 Cumberland, 2,500 Fentress, 1,000 up into McCreary County as well. So again, we're still following this. Multiple warnings coming out across the area. The one we're keeping an eye on is this one right there that's making its way on the Knox and Sevier County border moving eastward. That would be kind of the tail end of this tornado warned storm as it's making its way eastward. So that's going to continue just a little bit longer until 10:45. Let's go a little further north up into Kentucky, watching some of these storms moving through, unfortunately, the areas that were hit not too long ago. Some gusty winds making their way through Harlan, right through here. That would be an area to watch, maybe north of the Harlan area. Gatton, maybe some broad rotation there as well. So something to keep an eye on. It's just very active across our entire area as we speak. At minimum, you're seeing very heavy rainfall and some gusty winds up there in Kentucky. And this whole line continues now even down through portions of Claiborne County. The winds, I'm going to switch back here to the radar so we can see those winds I was talking about, still ongoing. Some of these really gusty winds making their way right through here into Claiborne County. So this Boeing segment right here between just pretty close to the New Tazewell area. Let's see.
If you want for a moment, Ken, I do have the watches pulled up.
Okay.
So they have taken away some of those counties, which include Morgan and Scott County, as well as Fentress and Cumberland County. I do think they're chiseling away at those watches, the tornado watch. And again, briefly, just kind of the difference between a watch and a warning. The severe thunderstorm watch and severe thunderstorm warnings watches don't have severe weather being reported or indicated. You don't need to shelter immediately. You have time for a plan, monitor weather conditions. We do have one tornado warned storm again that's happening in Knox County, going on into Sevier County, and even the far kind of farthest south you can get in Anderson County before you touch Knox County, but I believe that area is clear and we're about to get the end of this tornado warned storm, right, Ken?
I think that is correct. I was just chatting back and forth with the Weather Service and what they're saying, Margaret. They're getting numerous reports of some trees down in and around Knox County. No reports yet of structural damage. That is good, but we are getting numerous reports of trees down. I would imagine that's power lines as well. And again, I'm still watching this area of really strong winds making its way through Claiborne County as we speak. So it's the Tazewell area at 1049, especially the north side of that. There's Blackwater School, 1110, Sneedville, 1113, Hancock, Elementary, Middle, and High, all at about 1114 as that line continues to make its way to the east. What they're going to do most likely, I mentioned at 10:45, another 3 minutes, they're going to let the tornado warning expire. The area of rotation is very broad right now, but still could be some gusty winds for these areas. The Hardin Academy, not Hardin Valley, but Hardin Academy in Sevier County at 1046, Kodak at 1050. So right there where Interstate 40, where the old ballpark is, that's what we're talking about. Underwood at 1051 and Northview Elementary at that same time frame as this continues to move eastward. And what they will do is they will let the tornado warning expire, and they've replaced it with a severe thunderstorm warning, which continues. I think this goes until 11:30. Let's check real quick. Yes, so that'll go until 11:30. So they're thinking the possibility of those winds will continue to move eastward. So at this rate, the way things are moving, after about midnight, the majority of these storms should be pushing east, getting closer to the Smokies, and after about 12:30 or 1, I'd say the majority of severe weather threat is done across our area. For as of right now, as Margot mentioned, areas back to the north and west, you are free and clear from your severe weather threat the rest of the night. You probably still have some rain and the possibility of some lightning. My bigger concern back to the west now, Loudoun County coming into Blount County, that's going to be the threat for some flooding with some heavy rainfall that continues to move over the same areas. The threat for gusty winds is going to be right through here eastward, so it's going to shift now out of Knox County, make its way into severe portions of Jefferson, up into Granger, eastern Union County, and that's going to continue to move east as well. That's where our strongest winds are going to be over the next hour, which is why they went ahead and issued that severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to go again, northern severe, Jefferson, Hamlin, portions of Granger County. That's going to go until 11:30. Areas to the north, as I showed you a minute ago, up into Claiborne County, that goes until 11:15. Still some really strong winds with that. And a little further to the north, up into southeast Kentucky, we still have the possibility of some really strong winds here as well. Portions of Harlan County, that goes until 11:15, and also that other warning for Harlan goes until 11:15. So really kind of all along this whole line is going to take us into the 11 o'clock hour as these continue to move east. But as of right now, strongest part of this thunderstorm just coming out of the warning that they're going to be dropping here in the next minute. So downtown Knoxville westward, you're free and clear from your tornado threat. I'd say areas to the east, we will watch as this moves into northern Sevier County, close to the Kodak area, near Northview Elementary. You're going to be still under a severe thunderstorm warning, but I'd say your tornado threat's a little lower, not zero, just something we'll have to watch, but you still need to be in your safe spot simply due to the threat for some damaging wind gusts. So again, this is about to expire, the tornado warning in and around Knox County. We've had reports of some trees down. At this point, no reports of structural damage. Let's hope that continues to be the case as we will drop this warning now at 10:45. But we're going to stay on just a little bit longer across the area. In fact, we're just 15 minutes away from our 11 o'clock newscast, so I would imagine somebody upstairs tell me if I'm different. We're going to just go at this point through the 11 o'clock hour, and then are we going to do 6 News at 11? Somebody will let me know that. We'll go from there. But these are the areas we're keeping an eye on now. The tornado warning has been cleared. It has been dropped from Knox County, but the east side of Knox County, Carter Community over towards Kodak, northern Sevier County, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning that's in place. Winds could be gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Margot, did they put a tornado tag possible on that as well, or no?
None of these have the tornado tag on them.
Okay.
They just are the typical severe thunderstorm warning storms that have those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible, as well as that quarter-sized hail possible. I do want to point out, though, that they were talking in the National Weather Service chat about these warnings, just kind of taking a look closer towards the Tri-Cities. I know the Tri-Cities aren't our viewing area specifically, but it does look, if we can kind of go to me on the camera real quick here, guys, in the back. It does look to be around this area, so once you kind of get closer towards I-81 near Rogersville, just south of Rogersville, it does look like the severe threat in that area is a little less likely. So there's some good news there. These storms are kind of starting to slow down. Remember that combination of the initial line and that second line back when we were in Putnam County and Van Buren County, just before we got to Cumberland and Fentress counties. That line was slowly catching up, and now it finally has caught up. And you can actually see the winds have calmed down slightly. They haven't calmed down totally. We're still seeing some pretty gusty conditions kind of going further into the rest of East Tennessee, but we are starting to see these storms kind of moving on into an environment that's not so favorable for very strong storms. Now, like Ken said, as long as we get confirmation from the back, we most likely are going to stay on as we move closer towards our 6 News tonight. That starts at 11 o'clock, and we will continue to be on air until these warnings disappear and we no longer are dealing with these stronger storms. Is that correct, Ken?
Working on that right now, Margot, but I think what we're going to do is we'll carry you up here to the 11 o'clock hour, and then we will start 6 News tonight here coming up at 11 o'clock, but we will continue with our coverage, especially at the bottom of the screen, and we'll have your full forecast coming up as well. But we're going to stay on for another 10 minutes or so and then go with that upstairs, if that's okay. If you can give me a heads up and say yes or no to that. Areas to the south, what we're looking at, some of the gustier winds now starting to make their way into the foothills and into the Smokies, portions of Blount County into Tellico Plains. These are no longer severe warned storms, but they have special weather statements on them, which basically means they're just below severe limits, but they could still be seeing some winds gusting maybe 30 to 40 miles per hour or higher. Strongest cell still making its way out of Knox County and moving eastward through northern Sevier, heading into portions of Jefferson County. It's that cell here. Looks like it's Northview Academy at about 1050, the Dumplin community and Dumplin Mill 1053 and 1054, Deep Springs at 1056 and Shady Grove at 1058. That's moving east at 40. So it won't take much longer till this is out of the area. I'd say especially after the midnight time frame, our severe threat's going to wrap up pretty quickly across the region. Areas to the west, I'd say you are clear. So we're talking Roane County, Ray, Meigs, Bledsoe, Cumberland, Morgan, Fentress, Scott, Campbell, Anderson, western half of Union, western half of Claiborne, McCrary, Whitley counties. You're no longer under severe threat for the rest of the night. You're going to be done. Areas to the east especially, I'm a little more concerned Blount County into Monroe and Sevier County with flooding issues as these continue to move to the east, but also still a wind potential along that leading edge there. I'm not seeing the tight rotation anymore compared to where we had, which is good, but still the possibility of some really strong winds as that's going to move off towards the east. So what we're talking about up there in Claiborne County, it still looks like a very strong wind signature showing up there just north and into the Tazewell area. So that's going to be heading over into Hancock County soon. So please just be careful. I would expect to see some power outages with that as that continues to move east as well. So right down through here, this area is where we're talking about. So Tazewell right about now, Claiborne County High School right about now, looks like Gibson 1052, Hurst Mill at 1056. And as this continues to move to the east, we'll take it over into the Hancock County area at 1113, Sneedville the same time, the elementary and high school at about 1014. Margot, you got an update?
It's like they're kind of trimming back those severe thunderstorm warnings. So
Okay.
that's some good news. It looks like they just canceled the one for Knox County and Anderson County. Makes sense. The brunt of the storm is kind of moving closer towards Cook County anyways. But we're starting to see kind of a lot of the areas kind of Knox County and west starting to see just like calmer conditions. This is where we're just dealing with some rain, which again can lead to some flooding. But right now still watching this heavy line that kind of stretches from Big Stone Gap all the way to Tellico Plains. They have placed a few special weather statements, kind of Blount County, Sevier County, and south. And then it does look like there is less heavy rain kind of in the area that Ken's watching where those winds are. So that's some good news there. But still, we're going to watch everything. They are starting to trim back ever so slightly those warnings. We'll continue to watch that as we move further into the night. But again, it looks good news as we head later into the night that most of the severe weather should be out of our area. Ken.
All right, thanks a lot, Margot. Yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to carry you up here a couple more minutes to the top of the hour at 11 o'clock, and then we will start our 11 o'clock newscast. So again, no more active tornado warning for Knox County. That has been lifted. So if you've been in your safe area in Knoxville westward, it's okay to come out now back to safety. But I will say there's still some very heavy rainfall. There's the possibility of some flooding if we haven't seen it already, especially south and along the I-40 area going to the west, and areas in northern Blount County going down Pellissippi to the airport. Very heavy rainfall. This broken line working its way through Sevier County, that's where we have some really strong winds. And now going further northward up into Claiborne, Granger County, still some very strong winds there, maybe 50 plus miles per hour. This cell as well that's going through southern and eastern Blount County, heading towards the foothills into the Smokies, that is going to have some gusty winds with it. That is just below what looks like severe criteria, but Lawson Crossroads 1110, Tuckaleechee at 1114, and the Townsend community at 1115. could be seeing some 45 plus mile per hour wind gusts as that comes through the area. So again, this broken line that we're seeing of storms going through Sevier County over into Jefferson County heads up towards the 40 and 81 split. So Bainbury over towards Douglas Lake, Dandridge, this line of storms heading your way. Not seeing the rotation like we were earlier when it was back into the western side of Knox County, but we are most likely still going to be talking about winds that could be gusting 40, 50 plus miles per hour, maybe higher. Again, by definition, anything that's over 58 mile per hour wind gust prompts a severe thunderstorm warning, or if you see hail 1 inch in diameter or larger. I don't think we've seen the hail threat like we have earlier. It looks like that is pretty low, which is a good thing. But still that potential, at least for some really strong winds in some of these pockets as this line moves through. As I stretch further to the north, I'd say especially there into portions of Granger County before almost into Rutledge, right over the New Tazewell area, and we're still seeing this one batch now about to cross over into Hancock County. Maybe it looks a little weaker than it did, but I still bet there's some really strong winds with that as it's moving towards the south and east. So we're a couple of minutes away, guys. Do we hit at the top of the hour right at 11 o'clock? Let me know. We do. So, okay, 6 minutes from right now, we will join 6 News at 11 live coming up. But I just wanted to, yeah,
also
Margo,
want to point out just the rainfall totals so far.
Okay,
because,
yeah, heavy rain.
Heavy rain, heavy rain. And you can actually see, so that tornado warned storm actually traveled all the way from McMinnville in Middle Tennessee all the way towards West Knox County. And it actually brought with it very, very heavy rainfall. You'll remember it. It went through the southern half of Cumberland County. It went through Roane and Morgan counties, went towards West Knox County and Anderson County. And you can see the trail of rain it left. Now, this is just our rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, so it's also including the rain we saw earlier this afternoon and as well as early this morning. So we've seen close to possibly 4 inches in the southern half of Cumberland County, close to 2.5 inches in between Roane and Morgan counties, and closer towards southeast Kentucky, we've seen about 1/2 inch. Same with the northern half of Knox County, 1.5 inches. A lot of rain, and again, we're still seeing some pretty heavy rain as we move on into the rest of our Tuesday night, and that's just going to be a trend, and so we could be seeing some flooding. I do know the National Weather Service out in Nashville is actually, as they're on their way back from they were doing damage assessment in London and Somerset, helping out National Weather Service Jackson. They're actually going to stop by in Cumberland County to assess any damage. So if you have any reports when you wake up tomorrow morning, you're like, hey, I saw a downed tree. Hey, I saw this. Please send it in so we can spread the word to the National Weather Service, as well as flooding if there's flooding in your area. Now,
hey,
again,
Margo?
don't drive. Oh, Ken?
No, go ahead. I want to just a quick little update here. We're about a minute away from starting 6 News at 11, but I'm watching this little feature here. There's Catletsburg Elementary School, Northview Elementary, so we're into Sevier County. Right through here. Looks like it may be trying to turn up just a little bit. We're going to be watching this pretty carefully here coming up as we go through the next hour. As of right now, it's a severe thunderstorm warning that's in place, but I'm seeing at least that little bit of a curl right through here. See where the red is next to the green? Maybe the possibility. So that's just something I want to put there in the back of your mind that we're going to be keeping an eye on here coming up in the next 30 minutes or so as we start our newscast. But just a quick point right through here. You should be in your safe area anyway with the severe thunderstorm warning that is out. So Bird Crossroads 1103, Tryon 1107, Baileytown at 1110, Sunset Gap at 1111. So we pretty close right now. 3 minutes away. Okay, so just want to make sure we weren't passing that up. But as Margo mentioned, heavy rain is going to be a problem out there. Ponding on the roadways. It is nighttime. We still have some rain falling. Even if the severe threat's over in your area, just be careful, okay, with the ponding on the roadways. So that area right there, a little bit of a spin right there, something to watch. Down near Cedar Bluff as well, not West Knox County, but into the Sevier County area. So that's what we're talking about. Along this line, we're seeing at least the potential of these little spins that happen. And we see that often with these lines that come through. This area is still untapped. We didn't see storms here this afternoon or this evening. So as this is coming through, it's something that we're keeping a close eye on as this is making its way through. So again, the severe thunderstorm warning continues here. This goes for Cock and eastern sections of Sevier County, Jefferson County as well. This goes until 11:30, but in about 2 minutes, we're going to be joining 6 News at 11 to bring you up to date as to what's going on. But I just wanted to point out that little feature right through here. That's right on the border between Jefferson and Sevier County, something to keep an eye on there. It's trying. Whether it can succeed, I don't know, but it's just something that kind of caught my eye and needed to be watched. So those two areas right through here, especially right here, that's on the southern end of Douglas Lake. So we're kind of northeast of the Sevierville area, south of Douglas Lake, and that's moving almost due east at this point, the way it's looking. So I'm going to put another track on this real quick so you can get an update, some of the areas that could be impacted by this. Again, there is a severe thunderstorm warning out, so you need to be in your safe spot. But if we saw a quick little spin up tornado here along the border between Jefferson and Sevier County, I just want to make sure you know and you're in your safe spot and you're taking this seriously. So at 11:11, Maple Springs, 11:12, Baileytown, Clevenger at about 11:13. So again, we're about a minute away from starting our newscast, and we'll continue to watch this. At this point, areas further to the west, you have been cleared from your severe threat. That's going to include the Knoxville area westward. But as we've been saying, that is still some very heavy rainfall from the airport down Pellissippi to Maryville, and also northward as you go into downtown Knoxville. Very heavy rainfall there. Also keeping an eye on this cell going into some of the higher elevations of Blount over into Sevier County. We could be talking about some gusty winds with that one as well. Putting a track on that, Cades Cove at about 11:05, Tremont at 11:22, and Wares Valley at 11:28. But of immediate concern, I'll continue to watch this one that's right on the border, right there between portions of Jefferson and Sevier County. There is not a tornado warning on this at this point, but something we will keep an eye on. But again, now we will continue with 6 News at 11.
Live from the station on your side, this is 6 News Tonight.
Good evening, I'm Bo Williams. Thanks so much for joining us. It has been a busy night across the area as weather has been impacting just about all parts of East Tennessee. Storms have been working their way across the area. Take a look at some video that we just got in a short time ago. This is some lightning. This is in North Broadway, just outside of our studios. Reporter Dominic Webster